on now. Over the course of the last 15 years, 10 years, this city has just made a gradual turnover.
For the 11th consecutive night, it will be a sellout tonight at Oriole Park as the Orioles take on the Yankees. Now, this is John Miller reminding you that Joe Morgan and I will be back at 8 o'clock to give you all the action following baseball tonight. From Baltimore, Maryland, it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. You're looking at Memorial Stadium, the former home of the Orioles. But now the Orioles have moved downtown to a new home. This is Oriole Park at Camden Yards, and the fans arrive by train, by bus, and on foot, but they all arrive by the thousands, beating a path to see the old Orioles' new ballpark and this red-hot ball club. Welcome to an evening at Camden Yards. It is baseball's most talked about ballpark, earning praise as the state-of-the-art in ballpark architecture. And the Orioles have earned praise as baseball's most improved team.
Home run! Grand slam! Home run!
The ballpark sparkles with unique features. A two-tiered bullpen is the first of its kind. But the Orioles pitching itself has been even better. Veteran Rick Sutcliffe, second-year sensation Mike Messina, and tonight's starter Ben McDonald have already combined for 24 wins. The outfield fence is also unique. Short in left field and a bit of old Evans Field in right. But the play of Brady Anderson and Mike Devereaux has been truly extraordinary.
Devereaux on the run to the warning track to the wall. He's got it!
American League MVP Cal Ripken is still the cornerstone of the Orioles. Tonight, Ripken and the Orioles take on the New York Yankees. Fiery first-year Yankee manager Buck Showalter has led the ball club back to respectability. Don Mattingly is back in the cleanup spot and recently has shown signs of regaining his old power stroke. But the rising Yankee star is now Roberto Kelly, hitting for average and for power. Kelly is emerging as one of baseball's finest all-round talents. It's a cool night down by Baltimore's Inner Harbor tonight. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball taking you to Oriole Park as the Yankees meet the Baltimore Orioles. The Toronto Blue Jays were beaten today in Kansas City, and so with a victory, the Orioles will move back into first place by percentage points. The Yankees, they need a victory to stay in the race. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller. We bid you welcome to this beautiful new ballpark. We're going to give you a long look at it here tonight, and we're looking for a good ball game. They have split the first two games of the series. The Orioles have been a hot ball club, and right now the hottest hitter is Mike Devereaux, the center fielder. He's been driving in runs. He's had a red-hot week, including with a grand slam here Friday night against the Yankees' Jeff Johnson. Second home run of the week for Devereaux. He is 11 for 24. But not only does he drive in runs, he takes them away. Back on June 5th, robbing Joe Carter with this astounding catch that would have been a three-run homer. And a man who can appreciate good defense is here with me, Joe Morgan. And Joe, the Orioles, when you think of them right now, of course you think of Cal Ripken, but also great outfield defense.
Well, they're two unsung heroes of the Orioles, Mike Devereaux and Brady Anderson. Mike Devereaux has matured a lot, both as a hitter and as a fielder, and that's one of the reasons he's played so well. Always had a lot of potential, but now he's putting that all together. Brady Anderson, so far this year, he has been more aggressive at the plate. The bat really flies through the hitting zone now. In the past, he had a lot of lazy fly balls to the outfield. Now he's more aggressive, a lot quicker bat.
So they take care of things defensively in the outfield, and they're the top two RBI men. They're even ahead of Cal Ripken, last year's American League MVP.
Well, Cal Ripken is always going to be there. He's the constant on this ball club. Always makes great plays in the field, always go get you the clutch hit. But right now he's struggling a little bit as far as batting average. He'll catch up.
All right, now the Yankees made one big free agent sign this last winter, and that was Danny Tartabull. Had a great year last year. So far, the numbers have not been there for Tartabull this year. He broke out of a home run slump here, though, Friday night, with his three-run shot down the right field line, above the big wall and off the foul pole. But still, only his fifth home run of the season. And, Joe, what gives with Danny Tartabull?
Well, every time Tartabull gets started, something seems to happen. He has an injury here or there. Last year, he had a great June. This year's June has not been so spectacular, but he is a proven hitter. He's the guy the Yankees wanted so badly in the offseason. I think he'll do a good job.
And, of course, when you think of the Yankees, you think Don Mattingly. Mattingly has driven in 4 runs in the first 2 games of this series.
Well, he's starting to drive the ball again. I talked to him before the ball game. He said he's really driving through the ball better than ever before, and all of a sudden now he thinks he's going to start hitting home runs. We'll have to wait and see about that. But if the Yankees are going to do well this year, stay over 500, Don Mattingly will have to lead them.
All right, and this has proven to be a very good home run hitter's ballpark, the new Oriole Park here in Baltimore. Tim Leary's on the mound tonight for the Yankees. He pitched awfully well his last time out, and he'll be opposed by the young All-American out of LSU, Ben McDonald. And it divides the right field wall at Oriole Park from the big B&O warehouse. A few balls have been hit out there onto Utah Street. Maybe we'll see one tonight. Andy Stankiewicz will lead it off at shortstop for the Yankees. Mel Hall, 4 hits last night, left field. Roberto Kelly in center field, bats third. Don Mattingly, 4 RBIs in 2 games here, first base. Danny Chartable trying to get started. He's in right field. Kevin Moss, the designated hitter, batting 6th. It'll be Matt Noakes, the catcher, batting 7th. Charlie Hayes is at third base, batting 8th. And the second baseman, Mike Gallego, playing with a little bit of an injury, hitting 9th. And on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles, the former All-American out of LSU, Ben McDonald. Got great stuff, Joe, but the ERA is rather high.
Well, one of the reasons for that, John, is because he is young. He's still learning how to pitch. He'll make some mistakes in crucial situations which cost him runs, but he has all the potential in the world. He's going to be a great pitcher. And defensively for the Orioles, they will have Joe Orsulak in right field, Mike Devereaux in center, Brady Anderson in left, Tim Hewlett at his third base, Cal Ripken Jr. at short, Billy Ripken is at second, Randy Milligan's at first base, Chris Hoyles is behind the plate, and Big Ben McDonald on the mound.
So the Orioles, with a win, will move back into first place officially, although virtually in a tie for first place with the Toronto Blue Jays. But with a win, they'll have a percentage point advantage. The Blue Jays have been beaten today, and the Orioles and Blue Jays have been right next to each other for the last couple of months. Only one game usually separating the two, or none. The weather, it's rather cool here tonight for the first day of summer. 64 degrees and just a slight chance of showers, although there are no clouds overhead whatsoever. The wind blowing from left across toward right. The left field wall here has presented some interesting plays. You saw the play by Devereaux during the open of the telecast. The wall out there is 7 feet high, and an outfielder can go up practically into that crowd, where the crowd can get involved in the game, or a fan could reach over that wall.
What you're saying is you don't see many opposing players make catches like Devereaux did.
The fans don't give him a chance, but the fans have been letting Devereaux and Brady Anderson go up there, and they steer clear and let them make those catches. Well, here is Andy Stankiewicz. They call him Stanky in New York, and they love the way he plays. Uniform is always dirty. He's a scrappy player and hitting well. First pitch of the night from McDonald is too low.
Stankiewicz is an interesting item for the New York Yankees. He did not know until hours before opening day of the season that he was going to be on the team, because they did not know exactly how soon Gallego was going to be ready. And then Gallego went on disabled list. He started playing. He's done a great job for the Yankees.
And such a fine job that Pat Kelly, who was supposed to be the second baseman, has lost his job. 1 ball, 1 strike. That is fair. Stankiewicz will try for second, and he's going to make it easily. It is a double for Andy Stankiewicz. This series started Friday night, and a wild one. The Orioles won it 10-7. Devereaux hit his grand slam in that one. Mills, the former Yankee, with Olsen getting the save. Mills the win. Hilligas the loser. Last night, the Yankees in a wild one. 9-5 winners. Sanderson over Sutcliffe in that one, and Mel Hall 4 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs. The Orioles could not get him out. And here is Mel Hall, having had one of his best games last night. He's never had more than 4 hits in a game. 259 for the year, leads the Yankees in RBIs with 39. Runner at second, nobody out. Now Hall last night hit his home run down the right field line, and it landed inches above that 25-foot high wall. We'll be taking a long look during the night at that right field wall. It is not as tall or imposing as the wall at Fenway Park, but nonetheless it presents some interesting possibilities and difficulties. And it is rather close, only 318 feet down the right field line. Deep right field toward the wall and over the wall, headed for Utah Street. 2-0 Yankees.
There's the reason for the 4.20 earned run average. He threw a fastball up and in on Stankiewicz. He jammed him, but he was able to get it over the infield. Now he wants to keep Mel Hall from pulling the ball, so he's throwing him a fastball, and he gets it in the middle of the plate. It's a fastball. They want to throw it over the outside corner. Pitch is in the middle of the plate. Mel Hall, good low fastball hitter, lines it over the wall in right field. That's more of a line drive, folks. That's not a fly ball.
So Roberto Kelly, the hitter. The Yanks have jumped ahead 2-0 as they strike to Kelly. Mel Hall, he was left off the All-Star ballot and had a hard time understanding that. He had his best year last year at 19 homers, 80 RBIs. How can he be left off the All-Star ballot? I mean, it's not a question of whether or not people should vote for him. It's just a question of why wasn't he on the ballot? Ridiculous.
Especially a guy that has the capability of, you know, of hitting 20 home runs and driving in 100 runs. As you mentioned, he led the Yankees in runs batted in last year. So tough to be left off the All-Star ballot.
1 ball, 1 strike to Roberto Kelly. And 1-2. And McDonald has got all of the ability. Throw that fastball up in the mid-90s. Got a great curveball. Has worked in a changeup this year. And his pitching coach, Dick Bosman, longtime Major League pitcher, saying that he still has a lot of problems with his mechanics that cause him to get the ball up or not get the ball where he wants it to be.
Well, he's a tall individual, first of all, and a lot of tall pitchers have problems with their mechanics throughout their career. You may never get it right. But I think the one thing about him is he has to learn to pitch in the major leagues. I mean, we take for granted that he's had a lot of experience because he's pitched in the College World Series, etc., and he's pitched in the major leagues for a couple of years. But it takes a long time to really learn to pitch in the major leagues.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Kelly. 2-2. Fastball moving him back.
Well, you see Hoyle set up inside. Way inside is the fastball from McDonald.
And the curve misses. 3-2 now. He had him 1-2. Now, it's been a while since McDonald has pitched consistently well. He gave up 3 runs in only 4 2/3 innings 10 days ago in Detroit, and got clobbered in his last start. That's a foul ball. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes. Tuesday in Cleveland, he went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs and 8 hits. 3 runs, 6 hits in 4 2/3 at Detroit. 4 runs against Toronto in 8 innings. Gave up 7 runs against Seattle in 5 innings. So he's been giving up a lot of runs lately. The Orioles as a staff have been giving up a lot of runs lately too. He struck him out.
McDonald has good movement on his fastball. We haven't seen many curveballs yet, but his fastball has a lot of movement on it. Kind of explodes at the last second. It's a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and it just jumps on the middle of the plate to him. When you talk about a tall individual, sometimes he doesn't bend his knees or bend his back as quickly as possible as he should, and he ended up leaving the ball high. But he hasn't been high very often tonight. He's just been missing low when he's missed.
Here's Mattingly, and that is too low. Ball 1. Mattingly coming into the game, hitting .257, 7 homers, 35 batted in. He's also got 18 doubles. Right now he's on pace for maybe 17, 18 homers and 85, 86 RBIs. And his feeling is that he hasn't really gotten it started yet.
But basically, maybe that's what you're going to get from Don Mattingly from now until the end of his career. You're not going to see the guy hitting 30 home runs, driving in 100-plus runs anymore, hitting 350. After the injuries to his back, he is not the same hitter.
High and foul down the right field line. Back into the crowd. 1-1. Well, Joe, that's what I want to see from Mattingly.
Yeah.
I don't want to see 85 RBIs. I want to see 130.
That's what he wants to see, but there comes a time in the player's career when he has to resign himself to the fact that he's not going to do what he did when he was younger. I think George Brett has accepted that better than most people. Brett has said, hey, maybe I'm not the player I was before.
Strike two. Mattingly moving back in that one, and he complains to Terry Kraft, the home plate umpire.
That's the movement on McDonald's fastball. We saw it as he struck out Roberto Kelly. The ball started on the outside corner and moved to the middle of the plate. This one starts inside and moves to the inside corner. At least Terry Kraft thought so. Maybe Mattingly disagreed, of course.
1 out, 2 runs in. Yanks ahead 2-0 here in the first inning. Just starting from Oriole Park. Chartable on deck. Very high. 2-2. Mattingly, the years you think of with Mattingly go back to the mid-80s. Hit 343 one year, 324 another, 352 one year. At 3 straight years over 30 home runs. 1 year drove in 145 runs with 48 doubles and 35 homers. And did he swing? No, says third base umpire Joyce. 3-2 to Mattingly.
There are career years and there are peak years, you know, in a player's career, but you know, to look at Mattingly now and even think that he's capable of hitting 35 or 40 home runs, you know, I don't think he is anymore.
3-2 the count to Mattingly. Hit only 9 homers last year. That is a foul ball right past Ed Napoleon, first base coach for the Yankees. 3-2 the count.
It's kind of interesting in watching Mattingly. I remember Mattingly, he would kind of sit and then you used his hands very well. Now when he pulls the ball, he's actually pulling it with his body, not the quickness of the bat. The last 2 pitches, he pulled a home run foul and the last ground ball. He's really pulling it with his body, not the bat.
Curveball. That one is going to be foul down the right field line. A moment ago, you saw the view from above that wall in right field, looking in at Mattingly.
Watch Mattingly, watch his whole body turn right there. See, that's how he's pulling the ball, with his body, not with his speed of the bat.
Danny Chartable on deck. 3-2 to Mattingly. And that ball will go foul off the left field line. Still 3-2 here. 1 out, nobody on. 2 runs in for New York. There is a standing room only in this ballpark, and it is used most of the time because the Orioles have been selling out most of their home games. Standing room is sold just above that right field wall. That's where Hall hit his home run, and out there in left center beyond the bullpens, those folks all paid $3, and the standing room space available when the gates open each night. Into center, Devereaux started back, comes in now. Out number 2. John Oates, the manager of the Orioles, and one time he played for the Yankees and also knows Buck Showalter well, and the two have the highest regard for one another, and maybe the 2 of the first of a new wave of managers, sort of in the Tony La Russa mold, very well prepared. Dick Bosman there with the mustache, the pitching coach on the right. Here is Danny Chartable, 2 down, nobody on. And it is low. Now, Danny's wife, Kelly, is at their home in New Jersey. She is expecting a child. The due date is mid-July. And she's had a very difficult pregnancy and a couple of times has started labor. And the doctors determined that it was not time to deliver the baby yet. The lungs were not fully formed, and so they have been able to prevent her from delivering the child just yet. But Chartable has had his mind here and his mind away from the ballpark. 2 times he's had to leave the ball club to be with her. And, of course, he's very much distracted by what's going on at home. Tomorrow, we're going to have a meeting with the doctors and maybe get further news. And Tarnable's hoping for good news. Pitch is high, and you can well understand anybody who has children. And, of course, this is Father's Day. He's very worried about his wife's health, but also worried about the fate of the new baby. 2-1 the count. Change up. 2-2.
That's one of the things that McDonald needs to use more often is an off-speed pitch. He has a good fastball and a hard curveball, but you need one more speed to be consistent in the major leagues. Whether that's a slider or a changeup, doesn't matter, but you need more than the 2 speeds.
Sharp curve in the dirt. 3-2 now to Tarnable. Ben McDonald, he's from Louisiana, big star at LSU. Likes to wrestle alligators, although the Orioles have discouraged him from continuing that practice.
Well, the alligators were going to discourage him sooner or later.
Sounds like one of those characters in the old Jerry Reed songs. Struck him out with another off-speed delivery. 2 strikeouts for McDonald, but 2 runs for the Yankees on the Mel Hall of homers. We played a half inning here at Camden Yards. Yanks 2, Orioles coming up. Back at Oriole Park, Baltimore, Sunday Night Baseball. And here we go now. Yanks leading 2-0. The Orioles batting order. The red-hot Brady Anderson off to a great start, left field. Mike Devereaux, also red-hot, center field. Cal Ripken, the American League MVP, shortstop. Big Sam Horn, the designated hitter. Randy Milligan at first base, batting 5th. He's the Moose. Joe Orsulak, right field. Chris Hoyles, 14 homers. He's the catcher, batting 7th. Tim Hewlett in place of the injured Leo Gomez at third base. And Bill Ripken is at second base, hitting 9th. And pitching for the Yankees, right-hander Tim Leary, trying to resurrect his career this year, Joe.
Well, Leary is, the last couple of ball games, he's been a little more aggressive, meaning he's been throwing a few more strikes. He's also using his forkball a little bit more, his split-fingered fastball, whichever you want to call it. And he's getting a little bit more movement on his fastball lately. Defensively for the Yankees, Tartable in right, Roberto Kelly center, Mel Hall left, Charlie Hayes at short, Stankiewicz is the shortstop, Hayes at third, Gallego is the second baseman, Mattingly is at first, Matt Noakes behind the plate, and Leary on the mound. We might make a note that Gallego was not put into the lineup until just before game time. He has a bad ankle, and they have to wait every night to make sure that he's able to play. Just before the game, they decide.
Yep, same thing last night. There's Gallego, formerly of the Oakland Athletics. Here is Brady Anderson, 281, 10 homers, and 43 runs batted in. He leads the Orioles in RBIs, although he's hitting leadoff. Stankiewicz. Out of there.
A great play at first base by Mattingly. Mattingly has won a few gold gloves at first base, so he's a very good defensive player. And he was able to stretch, catch the ball, and stay on the bag.
And Stankiewicz making the play, and that's one of the reasons he's at short. And Gallego, who was going to be at shortstop, is over at second base now.
We'll take a look at the play. Stankiewicz bobbles it a little bit, but he still has time to throw us toward the first, up the line at first base. Nice play by Mattingly.
Mike Devereaux's taken strike 1 from Tim Leary. Devereaux hitting 284, 10 homers, 41 batted in. Right back at Leary. 2 down. So the Orioles' 2 top RBI men are quickly eliminated, and Cal Ripken comes up with 2 down and nobody on.
One of the points I wanted to make, before the replay was Brady Anderson. I talked about how his bat was lazy through the hitting zone last year. That was a good example of that at bat.
Here's Cal, MVP last year. The number's not there so far this year. 278, though, which is about as high as his average has been all season long. 8 home runs, 34 batted in. He has had an 8-game hitting streak, during which he's had 15 hits. Nothing. Yanks ahead. And I think he's got himself a base hit. He did that a lot last year. Beat out a lot of bunts for hits. That's one of the only ones he's had all year this year.
Well, Bucky Showalter's shaking his head, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have to shake mine, too. With 2 outs and Cal Ripken at the plate, you'll give him the bunt if he wants to take it. And Charlie Hayes is back deep, and he takes it. He bunts it down the third baseline. He gets a base hit. Most of your teams will tell you they want their third place hitter who is capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark or hitting extra base, getting extra base hits, bunting with 2 outs.
Here's Sam Horn now. And it is ball 1. Horn, who has enormous power. And nobody has yet hit that big warehouse out beyond the right field wall. But the betting is that this guy could well be the first one to do it. He has the power to do it. 2-0 to Sam Horn. Now Horn is in there, a designated hitter in place of Glenn Davis. Right now, Davis, the big slugger the Orioles traded for last year, has a muscle injury in his rib cage in the back. Prevents him from throwing the ball and has still not gotten himself going fully with the bat. And so he and Horn right now have been pretty much in a platoon situation. 3-0 the count to Sam Horn. So Glenn Davis not in there tonight, but he's available. He's healthy enough to swing the bat. He'll be in there as a pinch hitter, or if they bring in a left-handed pitcher from the bullpen. And they're hoping that at one point he'll emerge and be back in there every day. He swings away on 3-0. And back out of play. 3-1. Big Sam, 4 home runs and 106 at-bats. Last year he hit 23 home runs. Just a little over 300 at-bats.
Well, what Johnny Oates decided there was, you know, Leary was nibbling here, nibbling there. Now he had to come with the fastball, and he wanted to give Horn a chance to tie the ball game. I think that's a pretty good play at that particular time.
Up the middle, base hit, center field. Ripken will head for third. Runners at first and third for the Orioles. 2 down in the first inning. And the crowd shouting Moose. Much as Yankee fans did years ago for Bill Skowron. Moose Skowron. Sunday Night Baseball from Oriole Park in Baltimore. Yankees 2, the Orioles nothing. Last of the first inning. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Glad to have you with us. And Randy Milligan, who's a real favorite here in Baltimore. Makes his home here year-round and is seen at hospitals and youth gatherings all through the winter. He goes out and talks with the people, and they love him.
The Orioles now have runners at first and third because of the bunt by Cal Ripken, but still not what you normally expect out of your third place hitter.
0-1 the count to Milligan.
They play him pretty much the pull on the left side, and they play him the other way on the right side. An interesting alignment that the Yankees are deploying against Milligan.
Milligan has, when he hits the ball in the air, pretty good power to right center. He was the first man to hit the ball off that big right field wall. The split-fingered fastball. Did he swing? No, says Dave Phillips, first base umpire on the appeal.
It always looks like you go on the instant replay, so it didn't look like he went there, so I'd have to agree with the umpire. That was a check swing.
2 on, 2 out. And 2-1 now to Randy Milligan. Tim Leary trying to work out of a little jam here in the first with a 2-run lead. Cal Ripken is at third base. And Sam Horn is over at first.
The 2 hitters he's been able to retire, he got out in front of. He threw strikes right away.
And 3-1.
And that's what we were talking about earlier about being aggressive, meaning going after the hitter, not having to go so deep into the count. The deeper you go into the count, the more the hitter can anticipate what you're going to do with him, what pitch you're going to throw. Now 3-1, the hitter can sit on the fastball. But even if you just go into 2-2, he can anticipate.
Chartable comes in a little bit. And that retires the side. 2 hits for the Orioles, 2 left. At the end of 1, Yanks 2, Orioles nothing. Tonight is the Subway Grand Slam Challenge. After every home run, we'll call a fan. If they know who hit it, they win $1,000 for each run scored. A Grand Slam wins $50,000. We'll call till we get a winner, and everyone called wins a $5 Subway gift certificate. If there's no Grand Slam during the contest, a drawing will determine the winner of $50,000. To enter, call 1-900-737-ESPN. The call costs 95 cents. Under 18 needs parents' permission. Here we go to the second inning now. Yanks have a home run tonight. Mel Hall, 2-run first inning shot. Here is Kevin Moss. And ball 1 from Ben McDonald. Moss, who's got that Yankee Stadium cut. 7 home runs, 288 average, very high for him.
He's actually refined that Yankee Stadium swing into getting a lot more singles and doubles.
2-0.
It's a fastball inside. The target's down low. The pitch is up high.
Moss only hit .220 last year. He's out of the University of California, Cal. Out of the San Francisco Bay Area, Berkeley. Off of home plate, McDonald. Just in time. Milligan looked like he got hurt in that play.
Take a look as Moss, his foot's right on top of the bag. That's why he got spiked. The first baseman usually sets his foot on the side of the bag. Milligan has his right on top. So when Moss steps on the bag, he gets part of Milligan's foot.
Milligan still out there. So apparently he's okay. Looks like he's hurting a little bit, though. Matt Noakes, the hitter. 1 out, nobody on. Second inning, 2-0 Yankees. The curveball misses. 1 ball, no strikes. Noakes, 220, 8 home runs, 21 driven in. Yankees got up to a very fine start this year. There's the new manager, Buck Showalter. It's a high fly ball to center. Devereaux. Wind carries a little bit. Out number 2. Now let's go to Gary Miller.
And John, Budweiser takes you to Arlington, where the Red Sox Roger Clemens is looking for his 10th win. The Rangers' Todd Burns gives up this jack to Mr. Clark. With 2 aboard in the first inning, didn't get it out of there, but he will knock in Winningham and Boggs to take Clemens to a 2-0 lead, even though Clark will get gunned down at third. As Clemens is in good shape right now. Back to you.
All right, so we'll be following the progress of that ball game down in Arlington. Here is Charlie Hayes, 2 down, nobody on. Milligan at first base. And that ends the inning. So McDonald is retired. 6 straight Yankees, 2-0 New York. At the end of 1.5. Mo Seltzer Tower, a local landmark built in 1911. And there's a copy of a tower from Florence, Italy. It used to feature a gigantic bottle of Bromo Seltzer on the top. The bottle spun around. It's one of 4 buildings listed in the National Registry of Historic Buildings right around the ballpark here in downtown Baltimore. Here is Joe Orsulak. He'll be followed by Chris Hoyles and then Tim Hewlett. Orsulak hitting 6th in the order. And Leary gets him to foul one off. Strike 1. 2-0 Yanks, last of the second. Orsulak has lifted his average some 60 points the last 5 weeks. Hitting well over 300 in that time. On a strike in the inside. And it is 0-2. Johnny Oates has been kind of rotating 3 different guys in right field. Chito Martinez, a left-handed hitter with power. Orsulak, more of a line drive hitter. Also a lefty. And David Segui, a switch hitter, who's more of a first baseman type, but he can give them a right-handed bat out there occasionally. And it is a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Oates basically wants to get them all at bats and says that somebody finally really cools off, we'll go to the next guy. And He'll stand there as long as he hits, and Orsilac has been hitting lately. 1-2 the count.
Difficult thing about that and trying to use 3 players is deciding who's hot and who's not. I mean, the guy that is sitting on the bench thinks he's swinging the bat well, and the one that's playing thinks he is. And there's always the excuse, I'm hitting line drives, and they're catching them. So I still think you need to try to decide on 1 or maybe 2 at the most. Kind of tough between 3 people.
And Stankiewicz has gotten it. Orsilac retired. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals, Felix Jose and company, and the first place Pittsburgh Pirates, the red-hot Andy Van Slyke, 7:30, and some of you will see the Yankees and the Orioles here in the St. Louis and Pittsburgh market areas. That'll be 7:30 tomorrow. The Pirates by 5.5 over the Cardinals, and the Cubs 6.5 Montreal, and the Mets 7 down. And the Phillies 8, really bunched up after first place in the National League East. Chris Hoyle's the hitter, 1 out, nobody on. Strike 1. The thing the Orioles did in the springtime, they released Dwight Evans, veteran right-handed hitter, who could play some right field. When they did, I think they thought that Luis Mercedes, a right-handed hitter out of the minor leagues, was going to make the club. Well, he didn't. And Johnny Oates said he just wasn't ready. And that left him without a right-handed hitter out there. Hoyle's hit by the pitch. Richie Bancels, the Orioles trainer, quickly out to see if Hoyles is okay. When he gets hurt, they react quickly. He's got 14 homers to lead the club.
Fastball inside gets him on the right hand. Looked like it got him more on the meat part of the hand than the back or the bone part. So he's probably going to be all right. He's squeezing the hand of the trainer, which tells him that he's probably okay.
Hoyles got a hit in the head on a backswing about 3 weeks ago in Anaheim by Vaughn Hayes. And he had to take stitches in the scalp, blood all over his head. He collapsed right at home plate. And then a couple of days later, he took batting practice and had a hard time getting a helmet that would fit on his head. Now Hewlett is hit.
We talked about Leary having more movement on his fastball the last couple of ball games. Maybe it's more movement than he can control at this particular time. It's another fastball, starts way inside. You can see the stitching on the ball. It's really rotating toward Hewlett, and it really just dives in and catches him on the left elbow.
Hewlett, one of the role players for the Orioles, who play all around the infield, been hitting .304. In there tonight because Leo Gomez, the regular third baseman, injured his shoulder in a dive back to first base the other day. Still can't throw the ball. Bill Ripken, the hitter. 2 on, 1 out. Bill hitting .211. That is a foul ball. 2-0 Yanks here in the last of the second. The 9th place hitter up for the Orioles with 2 men on. And Brady Anderson, the RBI leader for the club, is on deck. Brady. He has the long sideburns. Tim Leary in trouble, having hit 2 straight hitters. And now Bill Ripken trying to get a hit to deliver a run here. The outfield plays very deep for Bill Ripken, who does not have a whole lot of power. A ball and a strike.
The outfielder's pretty much straight away. A little bit off the center field side is Roberto Kelly, but basically they play him pretty much straight away.
And 1-2 now to Bill. And Matt Noakes gets hit.
It's a good sinker by Leary. And Ripken hits the top of it, and it gets a piece of Matt Noakes. Watch the ball sink right there. It starts down, and he gets the top of it, and it gets him on the left foot.
Well, Noakes has been getting hit all over during this series. He got hit in the right shoulder the other night, and then 2 pitches later, you know, the trainer came out. He was in a lot of pain. Then he says, okay, threw a couple. 2 pitches later, got hit in the left shoulder. Then he got hit in the thigh. And now in the foot. He's running out of healthy areas here. 2-2 the count to Bill Ripken. Ball just missing outside. Hoyles at second. Hewlett at first. Neither is a very fast runner. Notice now Roberto Kelly, Joe, you pointed out he was over a little bit toward left center a bit. Now he's moved about 10, 12 feet over to the right.
Well, when a hitter gets 2 strikes on him, he's a little more defensive, and he may hit a little later than he would otherwise. When you have 1 strike or no strikes, you get a 2-0 count, you play the hitter to pull a little bit more. If it's 2 strikes, you play him a little much more the other way.
Full count now. What was that, the split finger?
It looked like a slider. I'm not sure. It could have been a split finger. They react similarly when you throw them from 3/4 or a little bit sidearm. Maybe that is the split finger.
Had that kind of rotation.
Yes, that rotation on it.
3-2. The runners go. A little blooper for a double play. Gallego to Mattingly. And so, just like that, down go the Orioles. 2-0 New York after 2. Tree over 1,000 feet long, and it's on the Utah Street corridor behind the right field wall. And those folks are chowing down at Boog's Barbecue. Boog Powell, great former Oriole first baseman, hit a lot of home runs and played on a lot of great Orioles teams. Now has his own barbecue joint out there, just behind that big right field wall. And that Utah Street corridor is now a ballpark promenade. You enter the stadium from outside, and when you get onto the ballpark grounds, and the warehouse is part of that, Utah Street becomes a promenade. People look down into the ballpark. There are shops, restaurants, and of course Boog's Barbecue out there. It's kind of like a carnival midway every night here. The place has become a gathering place for people in this area. Here is Mike Gallego, the 9th place hitter for the Yankees. Followed by Stankiewicz and then Hall. Too high from Ben McDonald. 2-0 Yanks ahead. Interesting, Joe. The Yankees spent a lot of money getting Gallego. It looked like they were going to feature him at shortstop. They got rid of Alvaro Espinosa during the spring. And Gallego got hurt. Stankiewicz emerged. And after a little while, it occurred to everybody, hey, Stankiewicz has played short. He's probably better at it than Gallego. Let's put him at short, put Gallego at second.
Well, Gallego's a very good defensive second baseman. I mean, he is probably maybe, you know, as good as anyone in the American League. So I think that's his natural spot. He's played some shortstop, of course, when he played for Oakland, but he was better at second base.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ben McDonald. Trailing 2-0 here. 2-1. Pat Kelly, young second baseman who came along last year. Of course, they traded away second baseman Steve Sachs ostensibly because Kelly was going to be the regular second baseman. Now he's been up and down between the Yankees and the minor leagues. Brady Anderson in a little bit now. And Gallego is out number 1.
Let's take a look at the grades for the New York Yankees. Pitching, we give them a C- because they have a 4.13 earned run average. Offensively, they're right in the middle of the pack. We give them another C at 254 average. And we give them a C for defense. They're right in the middle of the pack as far as defense is concerned. They made 46 errors in 66 games.
Those are not the kind of grades we expect the Yankees to bring home, Joe.
Well, what they are 500 grades. I mean, you're going to win 1, lose 1 with that type of grading system. I mean, if your pitching and your defense is just average, that's what it amounts to.
Yankee fans have grown accustomed to all A's, straight A's. Change up for a strike to Andy Stankiewicz. 1 ball, 1 strike. Stankiewicz led off the game with a double. just before Mel Hall's home run, and that's why the Yankees lead 2-0.
I didn't get many A's in high school. I'm not going to give out many now.
And that curveball is in there for a called strike 2. Well, the Yankees are the most successful franchise in the history of any professional sports. More league championships, pennants, more world championships than any other team. But not lately. Curveball, strike 3 call.
McDonald has settled down since the first 2 hitters. He's pitched very well. This is a breaking ball down and away. Right on the outside corner. Very good pitch by McDonald. You know, you were talking about the Yankees' most successful franchise. I saw a study the other day. It's probably the most expensive franchise to purchase in all of professional sports. Most valuable of any of the sports, football, basketball included.
Well, were you studying up, thinking of making an offer?
Yeah, I actually thought I was going to write him a check for one, but, you know.
Mel Hall hit a home run his last time, and this time gets one up and in.
Well, it's a fastball in. It was funny. I was talking to Mel Hall before the game today, and we were talking about the legend Bob Gibson and how, you know, Bob used to come inside every once in a while to, you know, keep the hitter honest. And we were laughing about that, you know, say if you hit a home run, hey, you know, in the old days you were going to get moved off the plate next time up, whether it was Bob Gibson or someone else. And we were kind of laughing about it. Now it happens to him. Tony Cloninger, who is the bullpen coach with the Yankees, was not adverse to moving a hitter off the plate either. And he was sitting there and we were all laughing about it.
1-0 to Mel Hall. 2-0 Yanks ahead in the 3rd inning. And a strike to the outside. Now, Mel Hall had 2 singles, a double, and a home run last night. And now a home run tonight. They haven't retired him since Friday.
But it's kind of funny when the pitch comes inside how it opens up the outside part of the plate.
Mel's not laughing, though. Curveball too high. 2-1. Two down, nobody on. Roberto Kelly would be next. And that's foul out of play. 2-2 now to Mel Hall. These two clubs have another game here tomorrow. And then the Yankees will take off. But we will see the Yankees again next Sunday night from Yankee Stadium. Here's Rick Dempsey, Oriole catcher, who is now an instructor for the Orioles. And should they have the need for a 3rd catcher, or if one of the other catchers gets hurt, he could be activated and stays in playing shape. The curve drops low, 3-2. In fact, Dempsey's deal with the Orioles, if any team should need a catcher all of a sudden, he would be free to go make a deal and play for another ball club. So he takes batting practice every day, does all of his running, his throwing, stays in shape. 3-2 pitch. Change-up, and it misses. Ball 4.
That was ball 4, but that was a great pitch by McDonald because he had good arm speed with it, and he really fooled Mel Hall. I don't think he took it because he thought it was ball 4. He took it because he was fooled on the pitch. Watch, you can't see. He doesn't slow his arm down. Good arm speed. And again, Mel Hall just was fooled a little bit by the pitch, and he realized he couldn't handle it.
Big Ben. Looks like he hated to make such a great pitch and not get strike 3. He argued a little bit about that one. Here is Roberto Kelly. Struck out his first time pitch. And the center field camera looked like it was too low, though.
Right. I agree. I think it was low.
Broken bat. Hewlett will go to Bill Ripken for the force on a Hall. And the inning is over. We'll see the top of the Orioles batting order. Brady Anderson, Mike Devereaux, and Cal Ripken. Right now, the Yanks 2, Orioles nothing. Camden Yards, Baltimore. Yanks 2, Baltimore nothing. As we go to the last of the 3rd inning, and Brady Anderson, the Orioles leadoff man, leads it off. He grounded a short his first time, and strike 1 from Tim Leary. Brady Anderson, for the longest while, he had such a hot RBI pace. that they went to the record books. And it is 0-2. Brady had such a hot RBI pace that they found that after about 57, 58 games, you had to go back 25 years to Lou Brock to find a leadoff man who had that many RBIs that far into the season.
It's actually a little bit of difference there because, of course, he hits, there's no designated hitter in the National League, so Lou Brock was sometimes driving in pitchers or didn't maybe have as many opportunities. But it's still a great pace.
Deep drive toward the center field bleachers and into the bleachers. Number 11 for Brady Anderson. And his 44th RBI, 2-1 Yankees.
Leary gets a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and Anderson turns on it and hits it into the right center field bleachers. They're set up inside. The ball moves right back out over the plate, and Anderson drills it in the gap.
So here's Mike Devereaux, and it is a strike.
We talked about, more movement on his fastball from Leary, and the ball is they were trying to pitch inside, which you need the straight fastball or the ball to move toward the hitter. That one moved back out over the plate.
The ball and a strike to Devereaux. He lined one right back to Leary his first time. Now, Mike Devereaux came to the Orioles in a trade that sent Mike Morgan to the Dodgers. He was a Dodgers farmhand. You'd have to say the trade at the time worked out well for both teams. Morgan pitched pretty well for the Dodgers. But the Orioles have got themselves a center fielder. Second straight time Devereaux gets fisted. And he pops this one to Stankiewicz, out number 1. Morgan's now with the Cubs, and he won today about 90 miles from here up in Philadelphia for the Cubs.
That pitch, the fastball worked to his advantage moving in because he started it on the inside corner and moved off the plate and got Devereaux on the fist.
Cal Ripken had a bunt single his first time, 1 for 1. Brady Anderson, we're talking about Devereaux, where he came from. Brady Anderson came from the Boston Red Sox in a trade that sent Mike Boddicker to the Red Sox. Boddicker, of course, helped the Red Sox win a division title that year. And it all goes back to 1988 when the Orioles had the worst team around. They lost their first 21 games that year. 0-21. And they broke that ball club up, started trading players away to rebuild. And these are some of the results of that rebuilding. Brady Anderson for Boddicker, Devereaux for Mike Morgan, Chris Hoyles, the catcher with all of the home runs. He went from for Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn went to the Tigers for Hoyles. And of course, because they were so bad there, they were able to draft the likes of Ben McDonald, later Mike Messina, Greg Olson, vital parts of that pitching staff. Deep to left field. Has a chance. Hall is there, and he makes the catch right at the wall.
Mel Hall was adding a little suspense to that drive. He knew he had it all the way, but he gave the fans something to cheer about because he kind of was gliding back, so he doesn't get all the way back there quickly. Just kind of glides back. Now he looks like he's going to have to jump, and he does jump just a little bit. Made it a tough play.
And that's a spot where a fan can reach over, and
right.
You could get some fan interference on balls like that. So Cal Ripken retired. 2 down here is Sam Horn, and the split finger is low. Ball 1. Horn single to center his first time. 2-1, the Yanks ahead. Horn was part of the Orioles reclamation project Central. Red Sox didn't want him anymore. The Orioles picked him up. They got a few players like that too. Tim Hewlett is in the starting lineup tonight. Joe Orsulak came very cheaply from the Pittsburgh Pirates. 1 ball, 1 strike to Horn. 2-1, Yanks ahead. 3rd inning. Check swing. 2-1. Noakes appealing to third base umpire Jim Joyce. Denied. 0-2. Horn there with the off-speed delivery. That home run allowed by Leary, only the 7th he's given up this year. Now in a total of 78 innings. Not bad. 1 every 11 innings. 2-2 pitch. 3-2. Especially when you consider one of Leary's teammates, Scott Sanderson, has given up 18 home runs in 87 innings. Sanderson is giving up about 1 every 5 innings. Leary 1 every 11 innings. Milligan would be next. 2 down in the 3rd. Bases empty. 3-2 to Sam Horn. And a walk. Tonight is the 11th consecutive sellout for the Orioles here at Oriole Park. And they also have standing room only space. And those folks paid $3 per person to get in. And they're right up at the top of that 25-foot high wall in right field where they list the out-of-town scores. Got a little place to set their drinks. And there are the out-of-town scores, and that's where the folks are standing.
I would certainly say it's worth $3.
Hey.
Yeah.
Best deal in baseball.
Right. Very good deal.
That's less than we have to pay up here in the booth. We have to stand, too. Milligan takes the ball. The sinker hitting the dirt. Randy flied out to right his first time. The Orioles have done well in this ballpark. Their record 20-11 at home. And they're into a long stretch of home games. Foul ball hit Milligan's foot. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Orioles had played fewer home games than any other American League team coming into this series. Now 17 of their next 23 games will be played right here.
Well, the Orioles have certainly surprised everyone, you know, with their showing so far in the American League East. But the last 7 to 10 days, their pitching has not been as good as it was before. And you're going to need to have good pitching if you're going to stay with the Toronto Blue Jays. And they've been able to do that. In fact, you know, when you look at what they've done head-to-head and whatever, the Blue Jays have to be fearful a little bit of the Orioles.
Stankiewicz, the shortstop, to Mattingly. And Milligan is retired. So are the Orioles. They get a run on the Brady Anderson home run, who continues to lead them in runs batted in, even though he's the leadoff man. Brady Anderson going deep. The Orioles are down by a run. Yanks 2, Orioles 1. Mattingly, Tartable, and Moss coming up. 2-1. The Yanks lead the Orioles. We go to the 4th inning. Sunday night baseball from Oriole Park in Baltimore. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. We're glad to have you with us. The Yankees coming to bat with Don Mattingly. Flying to center his first time. He'll be followed by Tartable and Moss. Ben McDonald curves him for ball 1. Mattingly, who owns an establishment back home in Evansville, Indiana, called Mattingly's. And I said, well, I expect they'll probably have a big crowd there tonight watching this ball game, right? He said, no, they're closed on Sunday. And it's a foul down the left field line. He said, hey, Evansville, it's not like New York. Evansville on Sundays, people go to church, and it's a family time. And he says, even if we were open tonight, even with me on television like this, Sunday Night Baseball, nobody would show up. So we'd lose a lot of money.
Well, they're at home watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the family.
Right, with the family. It's a family time.
Sounds nice.
Baseball is a family game.
Mattingly chased a high fastball. Bill Ripken out. Devereaux coming in. And Devereaux calls him off.
I'm watching Mattingly do things a little differently tonight than he has been, you know, even last night when I watched him. He's in a crouch, and he comes up out of the crouch to get to this pitch right there. Anytime you raise up like that, you're going to pop the ball up. You can't get to it in time. You know, normally he gets in a crouch and he stays there and he lays off of that high pitch. That pitch was a ball, so he should not have been swinging at it. But he gets in his crouch and he stays there. Now he seems to be coming out of it a little bit.
Breaking ball to Danny Tartable for a strike. Tartable struck out his first time. 2-1, the Yankees lead the Orioles in the 4th. In New York, a couple of huge free agent signings during the offseason. Tartable to the Yankees, Bonilla to the Mets. And Tartable leaning back for that breaking ball. Strike 2. But although neither one of them has put up the big numbers, see, just here in June, last June, is when Tartable was really heating up. And he's been in a terrible slump this June. But Bonilla has been getting the boos at Shea, and they've been laying off Tartable so far at Yankee Stadium. Also, unlike Bonilla, he spent time with the disabled list. He got hurt right away. And, of course, he has all of the problems at home, and certainly would appreciate all of your prayers for his wife, Kelly, and they hope for a healthy birth of their child. There's a swing and a miss. McDonald with that sharp, hard curveball. 2 strikeouts for him against Tartable.
On a breaking ball, you have to really stay on the ball. Watch the ball closely. Now watch Tartable's head. It just goes right off. Pulls it right off the pitch. He starts after it pretty well, but he pulls his head right away. When you open your front shoulder, it pulls the rest of your body away from the pitch. And that's that's exactly what he did. It's very easy to see that from here, but it's very tough to adjust in the batter's box.
Moss, the hitter, fastball for a strike. Moss hit a comebacker his first time. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
And especially to Leonard Morgan in Oakland, California.
And that curve misses high. 1 ball, 1 strike. And, of course, I live here in Baltimore, Joe, year-round. It's one of those rare holidays where I actually saw my kids on Father's Day. They said to send you all of their best wishes, too.
Okay.
You could have gone to our picnic today. 1 ball, 1 strike to Moss. A little high with that fastball. 2-1. And a lot of families out here tonight. The kids treating Dad to a ball game for Father's Day.
It's a great idea.
2-1 to Kevin Moss. 2 down, nobody on. 3-1. 2-1. The Yanks lead the Orioles. A couple of home runs. Mel Hall, a 2-run first inning shot for New York. Brady Anderson, a solo for the Orioles in the 3rd. Ben McDonald, so much expected of him. And I think Orioles fans thought right out of college he was going to come in and start winning games big time. That is a high pop-up. Hewlett, not much foul territory in this park. And Hewlett cannot get to it.
I watched Ben McDonald pitch for LSU in the College World Series when I was working the College World Series for ESPN. And what I saw then, I still see a little bit of now. He raw talent. His motion kind of reminds you of, just someone who winds up and throws the baseball. It's a lot more refined now than it was then, but there's still glimpses. He's not quite as polished as, say, a Mike Mussina or, some of the other college players we've seen. He does have a great fastball, a lot of movement on the fastball, and a curve. He just has to refine all his skills. And I'm sure he will refine them over the next couple of years. I mean, he'll just get better and better. He's already a good pitcher. I don't mean that, he's still a college pitcher. It just means that he will continue to get better for the next 2 or 3 years.
Been having to do his learning here at the big league level.
Right.
Almost no minor league experience.
And that is tough to do, John.
High fly ball, left center. Brady Anderson, the left fielder. And the Yankees go down in order. McDonald has not allowed a hit since the 1st inning. The Orioles have Orsulak, Hoyles, and Hewlett coming up. 2-1 Yanks. Sunday night baseball from Oriole Park in Baltimore. 2-1. The Yankees lead the Orioles after 3.5. And that is the view from out in the B&O warehouse in what is called the Camden Club. There's a members-only club out there from where you can watch the ball game as you enjoy a sumptuous meal. Get a look from the Camden Club. Kind of romantic up there.
I don't know about that, John. I mean,
well, not if you and me were up there.
But I mean, all this open space, and it looked like they were looking through a little picture window there.
Well, that is an historic landmark, Joe. You can't.
Oh, is that what it is?
You can't change those windows.
Oh.
That goes back to the 19th century, that building. And to leave those windows the way those folks in the 1880s wanted them. Orsilac fouls one down the left field line, and it's 0-2. You mean you'd like to see big, gigantic
Well, I
windows
mean, I
out there.
saw it looked like they were looking through a little small window pane there.
Those are the windows.
Okay.
Also, the Orioles offices are out there. It's like some folks are in the offices right now watching the ball game. Orsilac down on strikes. Changeup from Leary. Orsilac is 0 for 2.
Leary's throwing a couple of split-fingered fastballs, and that's what that is. Tumbles away from Orsilac. It looks like a changeup, but it's really a split-fingered fastball.
Now, Johnny Oates, the manager, has just gone out to speak to the plate umpire, Terry Kraft. Chris Hoyle's due up, but I think they're going to have to bring in Jeff Tackett. Remember, Hoyles got hit with a pitch back in the second inning. It was near the wrist, or as I recall, 2 guys got hit.
Well, he got hit on the hand.
On the hand.
The right hand.
Well, there's Jeff Tackett, and he is going to come in. And apparently will pinch hit for Hoyles, who apparently is going to have to leave the game. And this is all speculation on our part, but because of being hit by the pitch, I'm guessing.
Johnny Oates. I saw the man that Johnny Oates replaced. Frank Robinson's here tonight. Frank, former manager of the Orioles, and great player here with the Orioles, and former manager of the San Francisco Giants. And I played for Frank there in 1982.
Great year for the Giants. Well, and Frank is now the assistant general manager of the Orioles.
And he looks great. I mean, I saw him before the game. Looks a lot better than he did last time I saw him managing. A lot more relaxed. Actually looked great, and he says he's enjoying his job, which is also great. I guess the only problem for Frank is that he lives here about 11 months out of the year, and he has a great house in California and family there in California, so it's a little difficult.
Yeah, his wife Barbara sells real estate and is very successful out in the Los Angeles area. This is Hewlett got hit back in the second inning, or not Hewlett, Hoyles got hit, and then Hewlett got hit.
Yeah, Hewlett got hit too, but Hoyles was hit on the right hand. At the time, I thought he got him on the meat part of the hand, which usually doesn't, cause you to have to leave the ball game, but obviously it bothers him a lot more than I thought.
Well, Jeff Tackett has not played a whole lot. A foul ball. Hewlett has done almost all of the catching for the Orioles, but when Tackett has played, he has hit big time. He's only had 23 at-bats. He's got 3 home runs. Look at the 2 of them. The Orioles are getting some nice production from their catchers. Roberto Kelly in center field. Tackett retired. So we'll try and get a report on Chris Hoyles and why he's had to leave this game. Must have been related to being hit with that pitch. Now Tim Hewlett. Going back to him getting hit by that pitch, Joe, and I know this is a subject you've addressed a few times. Pitch inside. He didn't move too quickly to get out of the way of it.
Yeah.
Hewlett takes a strike.
There are a lot of theories about why players get hit. In the American League, people theorize that they pitch away, so hitters dive in a little bit more. And when the pitcher does come inside, they're not able to get out of the way of the fastball inside because they're actually diving into the pitch to get to the pitch that's the outside corner. And I agree with that somewhat. I see a lot of hitters diving toward the outside corner in the American League. Not quite as many, in the National League.
1-2 to Hewlett. 2 down, nobody on. Last of the 4th. Yankees 2, the Orioles 1, and Tim Leary looked pretty good so far. With little spells of wildness, the 2-hit batsman. He's only walked 1. Hewlett chased one up out of the strike zone. Kelly. And that retires the side. 3 up and 3 down for the first time. Leary setting down the Orioles. Yanks have Noakes, Hayes, and Gallego coming up. 2-1 New York. Keys, you were just talking about Frank Robinson, Joe. He won the National League MVP in 1961 with the Reds. They've played these Yankees in the World Series that year, led by Frank Robinson and Vada Pinson, who both had great years. But the Yanks, as they often did when it got to be October, prevailed. They took 4 out of 5 from the Reds that year. And, of course, the 61 Yankees among the greatest teams of all time, the year Maris hit 61. Mantle hit 54. And the Yanks that year hit more homers as a team than any team in history. 240 big flies for the Yanks.
It's a lot of big flies. 240.
240.
You know, one of the interesting things for me since I've retired and talked to other players who played more against Frank Robinson than I did, you know, I really find that, you know, he was he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a great player, but he was even better than most people think. Just for his leadership role and the fact of what he did, you know, at the plate and in the field.
Well, you know, he came along and you had Willie Mays.
Right.
You had Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
And a little bit later, Roberto Clemente.
Right.
And I think for Frank Robinson and maybe even for Clemente, they got a little overshadowed by the likes of, in fact, everybody got overshadowed by Mays.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Aaron included.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Although, I mean, later on when Aaron's home runs mounted and he passed Mays, and then, of course, it was Aaron who passed Ruth, then, of course, he stood alone. But for a long time, Willie Mays, the say-hey kid, and one of the greatest who ever played the game. But it was tough getting your due when you had to compete with guys like Mays and Aaron. Mantle was the guy in the American League. Matt Noakes flied out to center his first time. And the curve from McDonald is low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Chris Hoyles, by the way, the Orioles catcher, who's left the game, and we understand he's suffering from some soreness in the wrist where he got a hit, and he will be examined. If we receive any information as to the results of the examination, we will pass those along to you. Charlie Hayes on deck, and Mike Gallego due up third in the inning. Yanks have only 2 hits against McDonald. Strike 3. McDonald's 5th strikeout. 1 away.
John, we've often, you know, talked about, you know, free agency for players and who's going to be available this year. Cal Ripken Jr. is one of the big names that, you know, are eligible for free agents this year. Boggs, Ripken, and McGuire on the infield. 3 of the finest players in the American League. And in the outfield, Sierra, Puckett, and Barry Bonds, 3 of the best players in baseball in the outfield. So you have 6 top-notch players. That doesn't even include pitchers who will be available maybe.
And Hayes with a drive to left center field. Brady Anderson back. Out number 2.
In the free agency, you know, the difficult thing, and you and I have discussed this before, that 6 players with big numbers are going to command big numbers. Are there 6 teams out there that can afford all 6 of those players?
Well, we haven't even talked about pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
You could make an even longer list.
But
how many teams have that kind of money?
Right.
That's where you wonder.
Because the players that you're looking at all are going to command, you know, in Sandberg type money, or at least that's what they're looking for. And, you know, I don't know if there are 6 teams that can afford them.
Orsolak and Gallego retired. Ben McDonald given up just 2 hits. For Sunday night telecasters, next Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, we'll be at the big ballpark in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. The Yankees meet one of their ancient rivals, the Chicago White Sox. Bill Ripken with the bunt, but foul against Leary. Bill hit into a double play to end the 2nd inning. 2-1, the Yanks ahead. And Joe, you're talking about free agents and free agents to be, and the large number, at least right now. Some of them might sign before the end of the year, but a large number of top-notch free agents going to the marketplace.
Of the ones who are eligible, I believe that maybe Kirby Puckett, Boggs, and maybe Cal Ripken may remain with their ball clubs, and probably should, if they can't, if they feel that they're going to get what they deserve. But Barry Bonds has made it clear he wants to leave Pittsburgh. Boggs has even said, in a couple of articles I read, that he was leaving Boston.
Stankiewicz, deep short. Mattingly stretching out to get the throw, and he might have gotten stepped on.
Well, something's bothering him a little bit. He's walking a little gingerly over there at first base. Well, see, his foot is off the bag. It looks like he does get stepped on a little bit, but he had his foot in the proper position at first base. He was not on top of the bag, as we saw Milligan's foot right on top of the bag, and there was no way for the runner to avoid it.
Brady Anderson, the hitter, homered his last time. He is 1 for 2. Mattingly still limping around over there at first base. Ball 1 to Brady Anderson. Brady hitting .283 now. 11 home runs, 44 batted in. He's also got 16 doubles and 6 triples. 33 extra base hits for Anderson. And that is 4th in the American League. Edgar Martinez with 35. Mark McGwire of Oakland 34. And then Mel Hall of the Yankees with 34. And Brady Anderson with 33 extra base hits. And Devereaux, who's up next, right behind him. And he's got like third-place hitters' numbers right now, hitting leadoff. 1-2 to Brady. You wonder, though, Joe, I mean, he's had such great success driving in all of these runs. What Johnny Oates wanted from him was a high on-base percentage as a table setter. And that on-base percentage has been sliding a little bit.
Yes. Well, that will happen. When you hit home runs, it doesn't matter who you are, you start to swing a little bit more for the fences than normal.
Now, this is the 3rd time that Johnny Oates has come out, and he's got to be claiming that Leary is doing something illegal to the baseball. He brought a baseball out.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, because first of all,
and what did he do? He just put his glove up in front of his face as the umpire's headed out there. Bucky Showalter's out in a hurry.
Well, they're trying to see if he did put something in his mouth, and they're looking to see what he's doing now. Well, first of all, you know, if the umpires, I mean, because the ball is cut doesn't mean anything because it came out of the Orioles dugout, first of all.
I mean, anybody could have cut it.
Right, anyone could cut it in the Orioles dugout. I'm not defending or whatever, but because Oates brings it out of the dugout.
But did he not bring it out after a pitch that he thought had movement on it that might have hit a ball in the game that was also cut?
Yeah, but it still doesn't really matter because the umpires have to get the ball right away. I mean, can't be the one that they hit, you know, 2 innings ago or whatever. I think what Showalter's trying to do is deflect attention away from Tim Leary.
But do we know if they looked at the ball that had just been thrown?
Well, even that, so what? I mean, the ball, you throw it out at thing. Yeah. What do you want? We'll take a look at Leary as the umpires were, you know, coming out. Well, he takes his hand, he puts it up to his mouth. He's biting. Looks like he's biting on something more than anything else. Now he stops.
Now Johnny Oates is out there with the umpires, and Buck Showalter comes right over to Johnny Oates. Remember, Showalter getting into it with La Russa at Yankee Stadium a few weeks ago.
Well, I think Showalter's point is let the umpires handle it, not Johnny Oates. That's what he's basically saying. You're arguing, you deal with it. Don't listen to what Oates is talking about, because Oates, you know, is not going to make the decision. I think that's what Showalter's trying to that's his point there.
Dave Phillips talking with Showalter. Now he's over talking with Johnny Oates.
Right, because truthfully, Oates should not be on the field right now. And that's probably what Showalter is saying. Why is Oates on the field?
Well, again, we had this one shot when he did put the glove up in front of his face.
I don't see an object. I see him open his mouth. Obviously, we can't tell if he did put something in his mouth. It looks like he does. But I don't see him chewing anything. But again, I mean, it looked like he opened his mouth to put something in, but we don't know exactly what.
This is what the home plate umpire would have seen at that time.
But the third base umpire, Jim Joyce, came running in. He ran directly to Tim Leary, and he started talking to Leary. I mean, he ran directly to him, so he saw him go, you know, put his glove up. I don't know if he saw him obviously put something in his mouth, but he ran directly to Leary. The other umpires did not, but Joyce had the angle from third base, and he saw Leary put his hand up, and he ran directly to him and questioned him. But he looked right in Leary's face, and he said something, and Leary didn't open his mouth. He did not answer.
Now, Davey Lopes is also over there with Johnny Oates, the former Dodger, and now the Orioles' first base coach.
Well, you know, I guess it's that if you don't catch him, you can't say that he's done anything illegal until you catch him with an illegal substance or a tool on the mound. You can't say he's done anything illegal, and so I have to, you know, even though Lopes.
Well, now we're getting Dave Phillips motioning to Tim Leary, just, I guess, saying, go ahead and warm up if you like.
Yeah, well, I guess Oates, I mean, what is happening, Davey Lopes feels that he saw him doing something. Oates feels that he did something, but unless you catch him in the act, I mean, you can't prove anything.
I once saw Dave Phillips eject Gaylord Perry for throwing an illegal pitch with a ball with illegal substance on it. And Dave Phillips got all kinds of trouble. I mean, Gaylord threatened legal action against him and everything else. And
well, what we're going to probably get here is Oates is playing the game maybe under protest. It looks like the telephone call is going up to the press box.
And Terry Kraft, the home plate umpire. Greg Biagini made the call for him, the hitting instructor for the Orioles. Sam Horn there, Mark McLemore, David Segui in the foreground for the Orioles.
But you can only protest an interpretation of the rules. You can't protest an umpire's judgment. And in their judgment, he didn't do anything wrong. So you can't protest that. I mean, you can protest, you're not going to win.
Yeah. And we understand that the Orioles are playing the game officially under protest.
But it has to be an interpretation of the rules. I mean, I'm looking at this. I can't really see him put anything in his mouth. I can see his mouth open, but I can't see him put anything in it.
We've got lots of circumstantial evidence. That's all.
But it appeared he definitely opened his mouth, but I could not see any object going in.
Yeah. Circumstantial evidence, but
right,
no hard
exactly.
evidence.
Yeah, no hard evidence. So I didn't see sandpaper go in. I didn't see, and I definitely didn't see a nail file go in.
Yeah. So here is Brady Anderson now. 1-2 the count. And he fouls one away. 2-1 the Yanks ahead. Last of the fifth inning. Well, Rick Honeycutt once got caught. He had the, what was it, a thumbtack?
Yeah.
Inside the glove.
Yeah. Joe Necro had some sandpaper.
Well, he had tools that fell out of his back pocket.
Yeah, that's a little different. See, they were caught.
Kevin Gross at the Phillies a couple years back. Strike three. So that sinker thrown by Leary, the Orioles feel, is a little more than a sinker. 2 down.
Here's the pitch. See if this ball's still sinking. That's a split finger there. You can see the rotation on the ball. So no argument there.
So one thing with Leary, his split finger wasn't sinking like that last year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's sinking.
Well, it wasn't sinking like that at the beginning of the year, just the last couple of games. And I made note of the fact that he had a little more movement on his fastball now than he had at the beginning. I didn't know how. I didn't know that I was putting any brand on him or not, but he definitely has a little better movement on his fastball now.
Well, show me the proof. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree. I'm not, really taking sides or anything. It's just a matter of you have to prove it.
Well, in the ball game, Gaylord Perry was pitching for Seattle against the Red Sox, and Dave Phillips was behind the plate, and the Red Sox complained on one of Gaylord's big country sinkers, right? So Phillips looked at the ball, and he found all this goop all over it. So he warned Gaylord. He said, you do this again, and you're out of the game. But at the time, the rule was, the count to Devereaux 2-2, an umpire did not have to have that evidence. If he decided that a pitch coming in looked like a spitter, the umpire had the ability to say, that's a spitter, you're out of here. Well, Gaylord threw one of those pitches later in the game, and Phillips walked down in front of the plate and tossed him. Well, Phillips ended up getting a lot of grief over it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the umpires, Joe, feel like, hey, that's too much grief for us. We're not getting backed up by the league office or anything else. And, of course, that rule has since been changed. Well, the Orioles go down in order. A little undercurrent to the game now. Johnny Oates playing the role of espionage agent. 2-1 Yanks. We head to the 6th. Johnny Oates, and he wants justice, and he's got a little collection of baseballs back there, and I presume with little scuffs on them or something. And
yeah, just
he's been through this a lot of times.
Yeah, well, you know what? Because he's a catcher, and he's probably caught pitchers that have done something to the baseball, doctored it up between his pitches. And you see, I mean, it's kind of a joke because I'm also laughing because as a baseball player, you know that there have been players who have cheated before, but if you don't catch them, they're not guilty, so to speak. But we saw the ball sitting behind Johnny Oates. We'll take another look at it. Again, he opens his mouth there, but I can't see what he's putting in and whatever. And at the end of the inning, he goes in to the dugout.
1 strike to count to Stankiewicz. We're in the 6th inning. The Yanks ahead 2-1. Stankiewicz has one of the Yankees' 2 hits. He led off the game with a double. The next hitter, Mel Hall, hit a home run. For the Yankees, 2 runs. They have not had a hit since.
John, when Tommy John pitched for the Los Angeles Dodgers and I was with the Reds, Sparky Anderson collected a dozen baseballs one day in the dugout, and they all had identical marks on them at the same spot. There were cuts in the baseball. And he took them to the home plate umpire, and the home plate umpire said, hey, you know, what can I do with it? I'll look at him and try to, you know, catch him. But he said, you can't prove to me that those were cut by the pitcher. And that's basically what the umpires are telling Johnny Oates when he brought all those balls out. He's saying basically, those could have been cut in your dugout. They could have been cut in your, you know, in your locker room. You can't prove it. Those are the balls that he has been collecting back there. He had a couple more, and he took them out to the umpires.
2-2 the count to Stankiewicz. Well, hey, Tommy John, his whole career managers were collecting baseballs, and then they'd send him off to the league office and say, look at this, what we found from this guy. I don't remember Tommy ever getting tossed out of a game, though.
No, but you have to catch him before, you know, before it's illegal.
3-2 the count to Stankiewicz. He's doubled and struck out. Ben McDonald's retired 15 of the last 16 Yankees. Walked 1 in that time. Pop fly. Brady Anderson in. Cal Ripken out. Brady calls him off. Stankiewicz is 1 for 3. 2-1 New York in the top of the 6th inning.
We talked about the defense that the Orioles play and how well they play together. That's a great example there. It looks like a routine play, but Brady Anderson ran Cal Ripken off the ball, and he took charge. I mean, that is the way you play a fly ball that's between the outfielder and the infielder. The outfielder takes charge. We've seen so often that ball messed up by an infielder and an outfielder running together.
Mel Hall, the hitter. He's homered, and he has walked. And Hall has gone 5 for 5 these last 2 nights with 5 runs batted in. 2 home runs. The Yankees RBI leader with 41. And also the home run leader now with 9. And, of course, this is a far cry from the old Bronx Bombers, Joe. 9 home runs leads the team. Roger Maris, he had, what, 26 or 27 home runs by this time in 1961.
And as you mentioned, he has not given up. Ben McDonald has not given up a hit since the 1st inning.
Curveball of beauty. Strike 2, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mel Hall.
There's never really been any question of Mel Hall's ability to hit. I mean, he hit well with Cleveland. He's hit well, you know, with the Cubs. But he has not really had a place to play. Now he's playing in the outfield every day, and he's done a great job for the Yankees the last 2 years.
He even started playing against lefties last year and hit them well. Hit over 300 against left-handed pitching a year ago. That's a foul ball out of play. You know, he was involved in a famous trade, at least in Cubs history. He was a key part of the deal when Rick Sutcliffe was traded to the Cubs by Cleveland. And last night, for the first time, 8 years after the trade, he faced Sutcliffe. Had never faced him. This man who had impacted so prominently in his life. He had a single, a double, and an RBI single, and a sacrifice fly against Sutcliffe.
It's not a good way to thank him for getting him to the Yankees and to the American League.
He was 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs against Sutcliffe, and the Orioles still haven't gotten him out ever since. Tonight, a home run and a walk. 2-2 the count. Sharp curve, a check swing, and the appeal is denied by Jim Joyce, the third base umpire.
That's what you call good bat control, because he was committed to hitting the ball, and then all of a sudden he realizes it's out of the strike zone, and he stops his bat. Good bat control. Last year, at the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing every day, and I was talking to Tony Kubek, and he thought that if given the opportunity that Mel Hall could do a good job, and he was a prophet because he started playing like the next week, and he played for the rest of the season.
Second base, Bill Ripken. And Mel Hall really hustled. Made that a fairly close play at first base on what looked like a routine play.
John, I was talking to Clete Boyer, who's the third base coach for the Yankees, and we were talking about the infield, and he calls it dead dirt, meaning, you know, when the ball hits out there, it doesn't really skid, it doesn't bounce. Sometimes it's kind of just soft. It hits softly, and then other times it hits hard. That's some of the problems you have with a new infield. It takes time for the dirt to settle in and for the groundskeepers to be able to mold it into the, you know, so that they have just exactly what they want. Most infielders will tell you they'd rather have a solid infield, meaning on the harder side than the soft side.
Roberto Kelly, the hitter, struck out and hit into a force play, 0 for 2. That's a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. By the way, Chris Hoyles, the Orioles catcher, hit by pitch. And now we understand he's been taken to University Hospital here in Baltimore for x-rays on the wrist.
One of the other things, if you continue on about the infield, the texture of the infield, they say, is almost perfect. The blending of just enough rocks or gravel with the dirt is almost perfect.
Popped up. Cal Ripken at short. Now out into center. The wind causing this one to take a long ride, but Cal stayed with it. 3 up, 3 down. We'll see Cal Ripken, Sam Horn, and Milligan.
He shouldn't be eating out of his glove. How about a bowl of Frosted Flakes? They bring in tonight's K-Factor. Roger Clemens, the best in the American League, more than 4 strikeouts to every walk. Leary walks more than he strikes out. Clemens pitching a 2-hit shutout, 2-0 at Texas tonight. We take you back to Leary and company at Camden Yards with John and Phil.
All right, here we go to the last of the 6th inning. Tim Leary. And the first base umpire, Dave Phillips, the crew chief, just went into the Orioles dugout and
probably to get some more baseball.
Yeah. So we've got maybe a conspiracy theory here. Peter Pasquarelli, who's here with us, the national baseball writer with the Sporting News every week, he suggested that this could be grist for an Oliver Stone film. Herbie Cohen will stop by with Larry King, America's leading interviewer. And they suggested, Joe, that this is not Leary acting alone, that it is a conspiracy. So here is Cal Ripken, has had a bunt single and flied out deep to left, and he takes ball 1 from Leary.
I might buy the conspiracy theory because the Yankees spent a lot of money to have Leary win some games, and he hasn't won that many lately. But he is pitching very well tonight.
Down the left field line, deep. If it's fair, it's gone. It is a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
John, see, this only points up, in my opinion, what I was talking about with Ripken bunting in the first inning. I mean, I know that a lot of players do that, but, you know, when you're a third-place hitter, the stature of a Cal Ripken or a Jose Canseco, those types of hitters, you can hit the ball out of the ballpark anytime the pitcher makes a mistake, and he's hit over 20 home runs his first 10 years. Only very few players have ever done that. I mean, you have to go ahead and swing the bat with 2 outs. You know, this is obviously my opinion, but I think most baseball people will tell you the same thing.
Up the middle, base hit. So Ripken now 2 for 3 in the game. 2-1, the Yanks ahead. That is the Orioles' fourth hit against Leary. Cal Ripken now in his last 9 games. That's his 17th hit.
But I tell you what, a 2-out bunt does help your batting average.
Helps the average.
It does look good.
Well, now, Phil Rizzuto told me that Mickey Mantle, particularly when he was in a slump, he would bunt.
Yeah, but not with 2 outs. See, there's a difference. I don't have any problem with Cal Ripken bunting. It's the 2-out theory. You know,
with 2 out, you got to try to get a home run or an extra base hit.
You're not necessarily a home run, just an extra base hit, so you can score on a single. I mean, if you are a leadoff hitter, Brett Butler, or someone who doesn't, you know, hit a lot of extra base hits or home runs, you can bunt and steal a base. That's okay.
Sam Horn is singled and walked, and it is 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, baseball people, I've often heard baseball people say, and umpires say, if a pitcher is doing something illegal to the baseball, it is obvious by the action the ball takes.
The ball. Well, that's why they had the umpires deciding before. And a veteran umpire.
It's a high fly foul. Charlie Hayes, again, not much foul territory in this park. 1-2 the count.
A veteran umpire should be able to tell whether a pitch was illegal or not. You know, by the movement of the ball. They know what a sinker does. They know what a slider does. They know what a curveball does. And they also know what an illegal pitch will do. So that was why they gave them that authority previously. But as you mentioned, the umpires may have felt they weren't backed up properly, so they had them putting in writing. So now, you know, basically you have to catch someone before you're ejected.
1-2 to Horn. Struck him out. Second, let's see, 3rd strikeout for Leary. 1 away in the 6th inning. Cal Ripken at first.
Let's take a look at this fastball and see if it's the same movement as before. It should move back toward the middle of the plate. And that one didn't move quite as much, but it had a lot of velocity behind it and it had a good pop up in the strike zone.
Here's Milligan, and a Horn also. That's one of his weak spots, that high fastball. He has a hard time laying off it and an even harder time hitting it.
That's a lot of people's weak spot, that high fastball.
1 out, 1 on here in the 6th inning. 2-1, the Yanks ahead. Ball 1 to Milligan. He has flied to right and grounded to short. I remember talking years ago with Doyle Alexander, and he often got accused of doing something to the baseball. And he talked about what he thought was the reason that they didn't just legalize it. He said, you know, young pitchers, if they're throwing it, they might kill somebody. It's a very tough pitch to control, he said.
Yeah.
He said, this way, because I was asking, I says, why don't umpires, if they already know, why don't they just toss you out? And I'm not saying that Doyle ever actually told me that he did something to the ball, but that was his reasoning. He thought if it was legal, a lot of guys would try it and people might get hurt because of a very tough pitch to control. We are in the last of the 6th inning. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Camden Yards, Baltimore. The Yankees lead the Orioles 2-1. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And we've got a tight ball game here, last of the 6th. Little controversy here. Is he or isn't he? Tim Leary, we mean. The Orioles have accused him of doing something illegal to the baseball.
I don't think he is now if he was before. I don't think he wants to risk, you know, being caught at this stage of the ball game if he was.
Well, perhaps part of Johnny Oates' plan there anyway. Maybe just to perhaps take the pitch away from him. Putting him under the spotlight. Increasing the scrutiny.
If he was.
If he was. 3-1. So I feel like we're doing a courtroom
well, we have to.
Now,
you know,
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, he was throwing an illegal pitch, but the circumstantial evidence did not point in that direction.
No indictments have been handed down. 3-1 to Milligan. And he walks, as he often does. Milligan with a .400 on-base average, always among the leaders in walks. 2 on, 1 out. Ripken moves over to second. And Buck Showalter hoping that Leary can continue to make the big pitches or select the hitter. 2-1, Leary and the Yankees out in front. We were talking about the old Yankees and all the sluggers, the Bronx Bombers, the historic Yankees.
Yeah.
You've come to expect in this storied organization. How about the Boston Red Sox? The Red Sox lead the American League in pitching. I mean, does that sound wrong or what? And that one is high, ball one. How about the National League? The Chicago Cubs lead the National League in pitching. The Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs, the two best pitching staffs in baseball? Right now, they are.
Statistics are sometimes deceiving.
That's a base hit. Cal Ripken is going back towards second base, though. Now he's going to be waved home. Here comes Hall's throw. Cut off. Now they've got Milligan hung up. And he is out.
I'll tell you what, that was good coaching at third base by Cal Ripken Sr. because Cal Ripken Jr. had to wait and make sure the ball got over the head of the shortstop. And good base running by Ripken Jr. Senior and Junior really worked well on that play. And it is Father's Day. Line drive and watch. Now watch, see where Cal Ripken Jr. is. He's actually going back towards second base. Now he picks it up. Now he's headed for the plate. But it's his dad who makes the decision for him to score. And he tells him to go all the way. And Mel Hall's throw is not a good throw. If it was lower, Charlie Hayes may have had a chance to cut it off and get Ripken at the plate. But instead he cuts it and he gets Milligan rounding second base. So that's a run that you have to give to the third base coach there. And really, Milligan should have stayed at second base anyway.
And here is Jeff Tackett, now the catcher, in the absence of Chris Hoyles, who left with an injury. Orsulak at first, 2 down. And the game is tied up 2-2 in the last of the 6th. And what was Milligan thinking there?
He thought they were going to throw to the plate. And if they did, it might have been a good play to try to move over. But really no chance for him to get Ripken because the ball was thrown too high by Mel Hall.
So in other words, Milligan thinking that they're throwing to the plate, and it really was an error in thinking that.
Yeah, error in judgment, but it's only circumstantial evidence, so we won't convict him yet.
Allegedly an error, yeah. Mental error.
Yeah.
Well, Milligan was a base-to-base guy last year. He had an ankle problem. And with Davey Lopes now on the Orioles coaching staff, they don't have a whole lot of team speed, but one of the things that Lopes is trying to instill in this ball club is reading the signs as to when you can take that extra base, which they have not done in the past.
Well, in my opinion, Davey Lopes was one of the best base runners, that I ever played against. He was a smart base runner.
2 strikes, off the fists. Stankiewicz got it.
Smart play by Leary. He could have made a dive and knocked the ball down, but he let it go all the way to shortstop. Good play.
Game is now tied. Mattingly coming up in the 7th. 2-2.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, who proudly brings you Family Talk. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts. And by Tenactin. Get the medicine that acts tough. Tough actin' Tenactin.
Here come the Yankees into the 7th inning. Into the late innings we go. On Sunday Night Baseball, we've got a tight one. Yanks 2, Orioles 2, and Don Mattingly leads it off against Ben McDonald. McDonald has retired 18 of the last 19 hitters he's faced. However, the first 2 hitters that he faced, each scored against him. Stankiewicz a double, Hall a homer in the very first inning. He has been outstanding ever since. And Mattingly takes ball 1. Mattingly is flying to center and flying to shallow center. 0 for 2. He'll be followed by Tartable and Moss. So the heart of the Yankees order, and some pretty good power coming up here in the 7th. A 2-2 game. And Mattingly lays off 2-0. You saw Mattingly walking away from the plate, admonishing himself to make him bring it down.
Yeah. Well, he swung it high pitch the second time in bat and hit a fly ball to center field. So he knows the mistakes that he makes.
There's a long drive. Deep to right field. Heading for Utah Street. Way out of here. Tremendous home run for Mattingly. And just like that, the Yankees are ahead 3-2. And that one bouncing on its way to the warehouse.
Well, the one thing you can't do is get behind good hitters and give them a good pitch to hit. And McDonald threw a changeup the first pitch and then missed with a fastball away and came back with another fastball, but Mattingly was waiting on it. see where the target is. The target is in the middle of the plate, and he hits the target. And Mattingly hits Utah Street.
3-2. Yanks back ahead. The first Yankee hit since the first inning. Here's Tartable. A mighty cut at that curveball. Didn't get it. If you Buck Showalter and General Manager Gene Michael, you dream about Mattingly just being a semblance of his old self, and Tartable being what you got him to be.
Yeah, good point.
To go with Mel Hall and Roberto Kelly and Kevin Moss and Matt Noakes, and all of a sudden you've got a lot of thunder in that batting order.
Well, they have a potentially awesome lineup offensively. And, you know, Mattingly, the thing about Mattingly, he's a very smart hitter. He knows when to go for the long ball, when to try to drive the ball. When he gets ahead 2-0, he had the chance to take a shot at the right field wall, and he took advantage of it. And he's going to hit some home runs simply because he plays in a place like Yankee Stadium, and when they do get behind him 2-0, he can pull the ball. And he's just a smart hitter and a good hitter.
He's got 8 home runs now, 36 RBIs. Neither figure imposing. This is Hewlett in time, and Tartable really hustling up that line.
And remember, one of our games in Yankee Stadium, the bottom of the 9th, Mattingly hit a home run to tie the ball game. He got a pitch, set on a fastball, got the fastball, hit it out of the ballpark, as he did tonight.
Against Kansas City.
Right, and here he's sitting on a fastball. And watch, see if he stays down in the crowd. See, he stays there this time and drives the ball out of the ballpark. Of course, the pitch was down. He didn't have to raise up, but that's the Mattingly that I know. He gets in the crowd, sets himself, and makes a good swing from there.
Here's Kevin Moss, 0 for 2. And that's foul. That was a long home run, Joe. There have only been 3 balls that have even approached the warehouse out there. Mickey Templeton of the Tigers had the longest one. He came within about 25, 26 feet of the warehouse, right down the right field line. Kevin Reimer has come close, and Lee Stevens of California, but Mattingly way over that big wall out there. And we should get an announcement later on as to how close to the warehouse he came. Big Ben throws out Moss. 2 men gone.
That was a nice play by Ben McDonald. It was going to be a tough play otherwise for the second baseman, Ripken, because the ball was hit so slowly, and Ripken was playing over in the hole for the left-hander to pull the ball. It's going to be a tough play.
So Moss is 0 for 3, 2 down, and the Yankees 7. Yanks ahead 3-2. Here is Matt Noakes. He's another guy who can hit the long ball. He's hit 8. Don Mattingly, like old times. Big home run in a big spot. Mattingly now, curveball swung on a miss. Mattingly has 5 RBIs in the 3 games of this series. Speaking about old times, now today is the first day of summer, which is a sort of historically when the big hitters start hitting big time.
Well, that's what I always wondered why they all started at the same time.
Summer.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. My numbers aren't too good, but tomorrow's the first day of summer. Mattingly started 2 days ahead of time. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count to Noakes. Well, we'll see Mattingly and the Yankees again next Sunday night from the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. That famous home run porch down the right field line, which Mattingly has reached so many times. And that's a called strike 2. Curveball on the back door, 1-2 to Noakes. He didn't like the call.
One of the things about McDonald's curveball, it fools you 2 ways. One, the speed, because he has such a great fastball, it's like a changeup. And then the break of the ball also fools you because he has a big breaking curveball. And it's surprising that it breaks as much because he throws it slower.
1-2 the count. Took that curve in the dirt. 2-2.
Usually when you throw the curveball slow, it doesn't break quite as sharply or as quickly because you can't get the same type rotation on it because you're slowing your arm speed down.
Yanks have only 3 hits, but they got 3 runs. 2 of their hits have been home runs against McDonald, who's given up more homers than any other Orioles pitcher. Milligan to retire the side. Hewlett, Bill Ripken, and Brady Anderson due up. The Orioles trailing the Yankees 3-2 after 6½. Tonight is the Subway Grand Slam Challenge. After every home run, we'll call a fan. If they know who hit it, they win $1,000 for each run scored. A Grand Slam wins $50,000 cash. We'll call till we get a winner, and everyone called wins a $5 Subway gift certificate. There's no Grand Slam during the contest. A drawing will determine the winner of $50,000. To enter, call 1-900-737-ESPN. The call costs 95 cents. Under 18 needs parents' permission. We've had 3 home runs tonight. The Yanks have hit 2 of them. The Yanks lead the game 3-2 as we go to the last of the 7th. Tim Hewlett leads it off for the Orioles. And as Tim Leary goes to work, both bullpens are busy. And the ball 1 to Hewlett, who's been hit by a pitch and flied out to center. 3-2, Yanks ahead. Each team has won a game in this series. The Yankees, who came in here limping, trying to get their season back together. That is a called strike. The 2 bullpens and the multi-levels out there so that every fan in this ballpark can see both bullpens at all times. Storm Davis, the right-hander, Flanagan, the left-hander in the Orioles bullpen. Habian, the right-hander, Catteray, the lefty, in the Yankee bullpen, and a base hit for Hewlett. And the Yankee bullpen has been a strong one, although they dearly miss Steve Howe right now. We may see that bullpen in action here very shortly. There they are. Habian, the right-hander, Catteray, the lefty, in the Yankees bullpen. That's up at the top. Tony Cloninger, the bullpen coach. You mentioned him earlier, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, Bill Ripken, perhaps the best bunter in the Orioles. Got the possible tying run at first base. Hayes very shallow over at third base. Mattingly, right now, is the hero holding against Hewlett. Mattingly walks in toward the mound. And we see the catcher Noakes flashing some signs.
Well, the signs are to tell Tim Leary how quickly Mattingly's going to leave to come to the plate. If he's going to stay at first base or if he's going to break and charge before Leary makes the pitch. There he comes.
Gallego covering. Back to second. Hewlett ahead of Stankiewicz tag. Sacrifice works. And we go to the top of the batting order for Brady Anderson, the Orioles RBI leader, who homered earlier tonight. Brady Anderson has grounded a short, homered into the bleachers out into right center, and has struck out. Where he hit that home run, that is a very friendly home run porch out there. Probably the most shallow spot to any right center area in all of baseball because of the angle of the center field fence. The deepest part of this ballpark is to the left of straightaway center. It's not straightaway center that's the deepest, but to the left of straightaway.
I was wondering if Showalter was going to let Leary pitch to Anderson. And he is not.
He's got Catteray, the left-hander, up out there, and Catteray is going to get the call here. 3-2, Yanks ahead. Leary departs, and we'll be back. 3-2, the Yankees lead the Orioles in the last of the 7th on Sunday Night Baseball. There's the view from the rooftop, and there is the flag court beyond that wall where Mattingly's ball first landed, and then, of course, it bounced out onto Utah Street. That's the look at the flag court from Utah Street. And, of course, the promenade, and there's how far it is to the warehouse. And the first 4 stories of the warehouse all have unbreakable glass, just in case somebody really muscles up. They say the insurance companies insisted on it. So here's Brady Anderson, runner at second, and Greg Catteray on to pitch for the Yankees with a possible tying run at second base. Ball 1 to Brady.
Catteray, came from the Oakland A's in the trade that sent Ricky Henderson back to the Oakland A's. And he's given up 72 hits in 66 innings pitched, walked more people than he struck out.
A strike, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Not good numbers, but he can be awfully tough on a left-handed hitter in this type of situation.
And he was starting. But then when Howe was suspended by the commissioner, and then they put Catteray out in the bullpen because they also traded away Lee Guterman, who'd been ineffective. So Cattery's the only lefty in the bullpen now. Slider misses. 2-1 to Brady Anderson.
It was interesting the trade that sent Guterman to the Mets and Tim Burke to the Yankees. The first trade made by those two teams on the major league level in the 30 years that the Mets have been in existence, since they've both been in town. That's unbelievable. They would never make a trade on the major league level.
And 3-1 now to Brady Anderson.
You're telling me that what I read was incorrect?
Well, there wasn't. Rafael Santana got traded to the Yankees by the Mets. Into left field along the line. Mel Hall. Hewlett going halfway, so he'll return to second. And Hall grabs it in foul ground.
I thought I remembered another trade too, but then I read it in the Bible, a baseball Bible.
Probably Peter Pasquarelli wrote it.
Yeah, probably. But it said it was the first trade on the major league level, unless Santana was on the minor league roster. Was he? Or I know he was a major league player.
Yeah, he played for the Mets in the major league.
Yeah, but maybe he went to the, I don't know. No, I have to check that out.
Maybe it was the first trade between the clubs during the season like that. I don't know.
No, it said on the major league level. See, that's why I don't read all that stuff.
This one time you read it, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Well, Showalter out to the mound to talk to Cattery. You've got the right-handed hitting Devereaux coming up here. And that's going to be it for Cattery. John Habian, former Oriole, will come in. 3-2 Yanks. John Habian comes on with the Yankees to face Mike Devereaux. Runner at second, 2 down, 7th inning. Habian, former Oriole, has become a very fine relief pitcher with the Yankees these last 2 years.
See the big difference between the numbers that he has posted as compared to Catteray's. He struck out twice as many hitters as he has walked, giving up 6 less hits in his innings pitched.
Jimmy Hewlett, the runner at second base, with 2 down, 3-2 Yankees. Devereaux chased a bad one. 0-1. Devereaux is lined to the pitcher, popped to short, and grounded to third.
Sometimes as a hitter, you make up your mind, I'm going to hit this pitch. And it really doesn't matter where it is, you swing at it. And that's what happens sometimes as a hitter. In your mind, you walk into the plate, you say, I'm going to hit it.
Tried very nearly the same thing. This time Devereaux took it. 1 ball, 1 strike. John Habian was injured in a sledding accident here in Baltimore one winter and damaged his shoulder. And he said it was a blessing in disguise because it had always been a hard thrower. There's a pop-up. Charlie Hayes into foul ground. And that retires the side with Cal Ripken on deck. We go to the 8th inning now. Charlie Hayes will lead it off. 3-2 New York.
Roger Clemens had a 2-hit shutout in his native Texas, but the 6th inning was not a good one for him. With the bases loaded, Brian Downing will single in a pair. Juan Gonzalez had already singled in a run to break up the shutout. And the Rangers score 3 in the 6th and take a 3-2 lead going into the 7th as we go back to Camden Yards.
So a tight one there as well. Here, 3-2 Yankees as we go to the 8th inning. Ben McDonald's got a 3-hitter going, but he is trailing. Charlie Hayes, the 8th place hitters, pop to first, fly deep to left center, and he leads it off. Changeup for a called strike. 0-1. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Yanks. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Orioles. The Yanks have only had 4 base runners against McDonald, but 3 of them have scored.
Well, 2 of them are home runs.
And it's 0-2. Nice curveball. Mel Hall, a 2-run first inning homer, and then Mattingly breaking the tie in the 7th inning with a home run over the right field wall.
John, this shows you a little bit about how pitching philosophy has changed. In the past, you didn't throw a guy changeup to start off, in at bat.
Curve, popped up. Bill Ripken out from second base. 1 away.
The reason being that a changeup is effective, because it gets you out in front. But if you haven't shown him a fastball or showed him anything hard, well, then he doesn't know that he's supposed to jump out there after it. And that's why a lot of pitching coaches will tell you don't start a hitter off with a changeup because it looks like a mediocre fastball.
1 away, Mike Gallego, the hitter. Gallego has flied to left and flied to shallow right, 0 for 2. 2, Yanks ahead. Another first pitch change.
Yeah, 2 times in a row.
What is that? Is that hold true when they faced him twice already?
That's what I was going to say. Philosophy also says that, you know, you set the hitter up for a pitch by this time in the ball game. So he had probably started both of them off with fastballs. Now he comes back with a changeup.
I remember reading how.
And besides, it's always good if it works.
Yeah. 0-1 the count. Curveball misses. I remember reading how Willie Mays sometimes would set up a pitcher in the first inning, intentionally look bad on a pitch, thinking in a big spot in the game where he could really do something with it, maybe 7th, 8th inning, he might be able to get the same pitch.
Well, if you look very bad on a pitch early in the ball game, the pitcher will remember that. And so you as the hitter should remember it as well.
You ever do that? You ever set up a pitcher like that?
I wasn't that good to set him up, to give him anything. There were a lot of times I swung and looked ugly on a pitch, and I knew that they would throw it later on in the ball game, but not so much that I did it intentionally, no.
Willie Mays. There weren't many like Willie Mays. 1-2 to Gallego. You saw McDonald. 104 pitches with 1 out in the 8th inning. Not a particularly high total. That curve is high. 2-2.
Nellie Fox once told me a story about Ted Williams, who I also admired as a hitter. He said Ted Williams told him one day, he said, I'm going to hit next time he throws me a slider, I'm going to hit a home run. It took him 2 at-bats before he saw a slider.
Strike 3 called on a curveball.
But as soon as he saw the slider, he hit a home run. I mean, that's a good hitter for you. He had thrown him 2 or 3 off-speed pitches, breaking balls and changeups. He comes back with another curveball, kind of buckles Gallego's knees, and it breaks right over the middle of the plate. Good pitch by McDonald.
6 strikeouts for McDonald, only 1 walk. Here is Andy Stankiewicz, the leadoff man. His double led off the game has started a 2-run rally for the Yanks. Ball 1. He has struck out and popped out since that double. 3-2 Yanks ahead, top of the 8th. We'll see the Yanks next Sunday night as well. It's summertime now, and all of a sudden we're starting it off with the Yankees 2 straight Sundays as they'll meet the White Sox next Sunday night at Yankee Stadium. And of course the White Sox, pretty attractive team that has been struggling. But Frank Thomas, one of the great young sluggers in the game. Robin Ventura,
Steve Sachs, Tim Raines.
That's a ball. 3-0 to Stankiewicz. Mel Hall would be next. The Yanks and the White Sox next Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. And it's a walk. And Mel Hall with 5 hits these last 2 nights, including 2 homers and 5 runs batted in, is coming up. And Dick Bosman is talking it over with his manager, John Oates. The Orioles bullpen is busy, and left-hander Mike Flanagan is up out there along with the right-hander Storm Davis. There they are.
This will be interesting to see how McDonald tries to get Hall out in this situation.
Ball 1.
Fastball in the first inning, he hit a home run. He came back the next time. He tried to mix it with a fastball in and changeups. Now we'll see if he uses a changeup as he did with the first 2 hitters in this inning, and he just used it a lot more during a ball game. It will make him that much more effective. Anytime you can throw a changeup off of a 90+ mile-an-hour fastball, you're going to be very effective.
Little Hall back in the first inning saw a McDonald fastball, but right out over the plate. And that gave the Yankees a 2-run lead right now. Over the big wall, the out-of-town scoreboard, heading up to Utah Street. Now Hall batting in the 8th inning. There's that changeup. Ball to ball, though.
And McDonald wants to know why it was a ball. He stares in at Terry Kraft. 2 balls, no strikes. They threw him a fastball in the first inning. Now it should go away with a changeup. At least they're going to try to.
There's a drive deep to right. Orsolak at the wall, turns, and it's out of here. Another home run for Mel Hall.
Well, they didn't try to blow a fastball by him. They tried to throw a changeup away. but he got it up. And that's why he got hurt with it, along with the fact that Mel Hall is swinging the bat very well right now.
That's his third home run in the last 2 games, and his 6th and 7th RBIs in the last 2 games, including 4 tonight. It's the Mel Hall show.
The catcher sets up, well, looks like he set up inside, but he's really set up outside. It's a changeup, and it's up. And Hall is able to pull it back down the right field line. If that was a high fastball, he probably would not have been able to pull it. He might have hit it out in center field.
Wow, he's been something. Curveball to Roberto Kelly is low, ball 1. Mel Hall now 6 for 7 these last 2 games with 3 homers and 7 RBIs in 2 games. There's a changeup hit high in the air into left center. Devereaux, the center fielder, for out number 3. But the Yankees add 2 more. It started with a walk to Stankiewicz, and then a Mel Hall big fly. It's now ahead 5-2 over the Orioles. Sunday night baseball from Oriole Park in Baltimore. Cal Ripken leads off for the Orioles against John Havian. Cal has a bunt single, fly deep to left, and has a line drive single, 2 for 3 with a run scored.
See, if he bunted here, I'd cheer him, because there are 3 runs down and there's no one out, and it's late in the ball game.
Charlie Hayes is good. Pulled in a little bit at third base. Right past Charlie Hayes. Third hit of the game for Cal.
So maybe the bunt single also got him this single, because Charlie Hayes did come in to protect against the bunt. Charlie Hayes is in tight at third because Ripken did bunt in the first inning, and he rips this ball by him. He doesn't have a chance to move. Actually, if he's back farther, he probably doesn't either. The ball was hit very sharply through the infield. That's just a routine single. Good hitting by Ripken.
Sam Horn has singled, walked, and struck out. John Havian, when he had the sledding accident, came back and did not have the pop on his fastball and said he had to learn how to pitch. And he said it was a blessing because he did learn how to pitch. He used to be just a hard thrower. So well, then over a period of time, after he'd learned how to pitch and he was getting hitters out without the great fastball, the fastball returned. And now he's got the whole package, and he's become one of the top setup men in the American League. Outside, he still makes his home here in the Baltimore area. Married a local Baltimore woman. And he says some of his best friends in the world are on this Orioles club. He says when he faces them, he just doesn't look at them. Bill Ripken, Cal's younger brother, probably his best friend in the world. That's a strike on the outside, 2-1 to Horn. 41,864 is the paid crowd tonight. That is a sellout because they had some free tickets that they've distributed for the ball game tonight. So all the seats are taken, and all the ones that were available for sale have been sold. The 11th consecutive sellout here at Oriole Park. Last of the 8, Yankees 5 and Baltimore 2. Nobody out, runner at first. Mattingly on the back of Cal Ripken. That's a foul. And it is 2-2.
Havian did not want to get that pitch that much inside. He's been pitching Horn away. He was trying to stay away, and that ball got a lot of the plate.
The Yankees, even last year, when they went through 90-plus losses, they put together a pretty good bullpen with Steve Farr, the closer, Havian coming through as the setup man. And, of course, at that time, they had Guterman and Steve Howe as the left-handers out there. 3-2 to Sam Horn. All right, if you're Sam Horn, what are you telling yourself now?
Well, if I'm Sam Horn, I'm saying I've got to get a fastball here, but I got to make it a strike. He does not want to walk me and bring the tying run to the plate. Now, that's normally what you would think.
To Mattingly, the second one. Stankiewicz back to Mattingly. Double play.
Well, he got the fastball, and he hit it hard. But he just hit it right at Don Mattingly.
And Mattingly, a Gold Glove winner last year, and whatever has happened with his hitting with the glove, he's still about as good as you'll find.
Well, the great thing there is he was on the inside part of the line. He didn't have to throw over Cal Ripken Jr.'s head. He threw the ball to the inside of the bag. The shortstop catches it easily, and he has a clear shot back to the bag.
Now Milligan, center low. Milligan is flying to right, grounded to short, and walks. 2 down and nobody on. And the Yankee bullpen is busy once again. On the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's Steve Farr, the Yankees closer, warming up now.
Under the watchful eye of Tony Cloninger.
That's fouled by Milligan. Tony Cloninger, a pitcher who once hit 2 grand slams and drove in 9 runs in the same game.
He could really hit.
He was with the Atlanta Braves. Drove in 9 runs at Candlestick Park one day. Just missing in the inside. 2-2 now. Roger Clemens has been knocked out of the box in Texas. The other ball game going on tonight. Texas ahead of Boston 3-2. Right center field. Tartable. And the side is retired, and another job well done by John Havian, one of the best. We go to the 9th inning. Mattingly will lead it off. 5-2 Unite Baseball from Three Rivers Stadium, Pittsburgh. Felix Jose and the St. Louis Cardinals meet the first-place Pittsburgh Pirates. Andy Van Slyke and company. 7:30 tomorrow. Those in St. Louis and the Pittsburgh areas will see the Yankees and the Orioles from here at Oriole Park. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball, 7:30 on ESPN. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton will be there to bring it to you from Pittsburgh. This is John Miller, along with Joe Morgan. Sunday Night Baseball from Oriole Park here in Baltimore. Ben McDonald still out there. He's given up 5 runs and 4 hits. And Don Mattingly will lead it off. By the way, Joe, I've been informed tomorrow night is another one of those nights off for the Boomer. It'll be Gary Thorne tomorrow night instead.
All he does is take nights off. Would they have another NBA draft or something, NFL draft?
He's becoming like, it's like watching the Tonight Show when Johnny was still there, right? Who's the guest host tomorrow night? It'll be Gary Thorne in there tomorrow night. Who's actually there more often than Boomer. Next time Boomer's there, we'll just say he's subbing for Gary Thorne. 1-1 to Don Mattingly. Oh, he's been out at Pebble Beach. He's probably exhausted. Yes. Out at Pebble Beach all week.
Yeah.
He probably hadn't slept in a week. There's Cal. And Mattingly retired. But Mattingly was 1 ahead in this game. Broke a 2-2 tie in the 7th inning. He hit one over that right field wall. Put the Yanks ahead, and they lead now 5-2. All of the Yankees' runs a result of the 2 Mel Hall homers and the 1 Mattingly home run. Here is Tartable. Would like to hit a home run, but right now he's also very concerned about his wife Kelly up in New Jersey. Mighty cut on that one. 0-1. You know, last year Tartable was unbelievable. He had 31 homers a year ago, hit .316, and he missed about 30 games with various injuries. Still put up the huge numbers, playing at Royal Stadium half the time, which is not a home run hitter's park. Yanks are hoping that he'll get it started here in the summertime. 0 for 3 tonight, though. 2 strikeouts and a ground out against Ben McDonald. 1-1.
McDonald has pitched very well against the entire Yankee team except for the 2 left-handers, but he's pitched especially well against Tartabull and Kelly. He's kept the fastball inside to keep them from leaning for the curveball outside. There it is again. And that comes after throwing a fastball inside to keep him honest. So he's done a very good job of mixing his pitches and location well against the 2 right-handers.
The Orioles, with a win tonight, would have moved into a virtual tie again with the Blue Jays for first place. Those clubs have been either tied or within a game of each other, it seems, for about 6 or 7 weeks, as Tartable is caught looking.
And again, good location from McDonald.
7th strikeout.
You have to be looking for a breaking ball a little bit if you're Tartable, and he paints the outside corner with a fastball.
Well, the Orioles who were trying to make a run at the Blue Jays, got some very bad news earlier tonight. Their catcher, Chris Hoyles, who has hit 14 homers, been playing like an all-star for them, and he's been taken to the hospital, and the news is very bad about Chris Hoyles. Here's Kevin Moss. Foul ball. Hoyles, we're told, has suffered a cracked ulnar bone and will be out for at least 4 weeks, which puts him out until at least late July. Now, Rick Dempsey has almost a unique contract as an instructor for the Orioles. And the idea, we mentioned it earlier, is for him to have taken batting practice and done everything that a player does every day to stay ready to play in case they need him. And it looks like they're going to need him.
Well, it's a very unfortunate situation for Hoyles because he was having a good year and he was off to such a good start. And that's why baseball is such a tough game. You can start swinging the bat very well. Something happens and you have to start all over again after a long absence from the game.
A ball and a strike to Kevin Moss. He's hit 2 comebackers and has also flied out to left center. 5-2, Yanks ahead, top of the 9th. 2 down, nobody on. Pop foul and out of play. Well, you know, the Toronto Blue Jays last year had a lot of tough injuries. I mean, they lost Dave Steve, who was their top starter going into the season. They lost him for most of the year. They lost Tom Henke, their closer, for a couple of months. And yet, they lost Kelly Gruber, their third baseman, for a third of the season. And yet they won the division by 7. You know, you've got to have the depth to overcome those injuries. That is a fair ball into the right field corner. Moss heading for second. Orsulak's throw. He's safe. Orsulak had 23 outfield assists last year. That throw a little bit offline, and Moss is able to beat it.
It's a good play by Orsulak. He picks up the ball very quickly, gets rid of it quickly, just a little bit to the first base side, or he might have had a shot at Kevin Moss. No chance to get back in time.
Now they're going to walk Matt Noakes intentionally, a left-handed hitter, with the right-handed batting Charlie Hayes coming up next. 5-2, the Yanks ahead. Now the Orioles, last of the 9th inning. The hitters due up are Joe Orsulak, Jeff Tackett, and Tim Hewlett, and they have some pinch hitters they could also go to. So we'll probably see some moves made by the Orioles in the last of the 9th. But right now, Ben McDonald is trying to keep them within striking distance. It is 5-2 already for the Yankees. Now, right after the ball game, stay tuned. Sports Center will be coming up with Bill Patrick and Keith Olbermann with the exciting final round highlights from the U.S. Open. Roger Clemens pitching tonight in Texas, and they'll have all the latest from Texas on that one. And also a conversation with the revitalized, the resurrected Bert Blyleven. He's 3-0.
I saw some highlights of him throwing. This curveball is still there. Great curveball.
Is Charlie Hayes. His curveball is the one that everybody else's is measured against. People talk about a curveball. Well, that young guy's got a pretty good curveball, almost like a Bert Blyleven.
Yeah, they're measured very unfavorably by the hitters. Maybe by the press they're measured against his.
There's a curveball headed for the seats. See you later. The Yankees have busted it wide open. And it is 8-2 New York. Charlie Hayes with a 3-run shot. And the Bronx Bombers are back down here 2 blocks from the house where Babe Ruth was born. And the Yankees playing like the old Yankees who terrorized pitchers in the house that Ruth built up in the Bronx. 4 homers tonight for New York.
Well, Charlie Hayes was sitting on the breaking ball. I'm sure he's looking for the curveball. And McDonald doesn't get this one outside. It's in the middle of the plate and up. And Charlie Hayes hits it up into the seats. And McDonald very upset because he hung the curveball.
So McDonald pitching a very fine ball game into the 8th inning, and all of a sudden it looks terrible. 8 runs allowed. He's still out there.
Well, there was an opportunity, you know, to bring in Flanagan, but although Flanagan has struggled, to bring him in to pitch to Mel Hall in the 8th inning. But Oates chose not to do so, and Mel Hall hit another 2-run homer, and now he's been left in the game, and he gives up a 3-run homer here in the 9th.
And that came on the 126th pitch thrown by Ben McDonald.
Well, there was speculation that McDonald was overworked when he was at LSU. 126 pitches is a lot of pitches in this type of situation.
8-2, and a lot of the folks here at Camden Yards have begun to head home. On the outside corner to Gallego, 3-1. Mel Hall, 2 homers, Mattingly a homer, and now Charlie Hayes, a 3-run shot. All 8 of the Yankee runs a direct result of home runs.
Well, you said it was when the big sluggers come out in spring, in the summer. And here comes Johnny Oates to the mound, so we'll probably have a new pitcher come in to replace Ben McDonald.
It will be Storm Davis. So 8-2, the Yanks ahead. McDonald with a 6-hitter. 4 of the hits home runs, 2 of them doubles. 8 runs total. We'll be back. McDonald pitched a pretty strong ball game most of the night. He went into the 8th inning with a 3-hitter going. With 2 down in the 8th inning, still a 3-hitter. But look at the final numbers. Not very good. 8 2/3 innings, 8 runs allowed. And for Big Ben, the problems continue. His ERA has been up over 6 his last 5 starts or so. And it definitely won't go down tonight.
Well, the last 2 home runs, one to Mel Hall was off a high changeup, and the one to Charlie Hayes was off a high curveball. He was not throwing the changeup high early in the ball game, nor was he throwing the curveball high, so he may have been just a little tired.
Here is Andy Stankiewicz against the new Orioles pitcher, Storm Davis. Storm used exclusively out of the bullpen, 3-2, a save. And a fellow who started his career with the Orioles. That misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And now back with the Orioles. They picked him up from Kansas City in a trade during the winter. Sports Center right after the game. Stay tuned. We're in the 9th inning. 8-2, the Yanks ahead. Just outside. The Yankees coming into this series, in fact, through last Wednesday, had lost 11 of their last 14 games, and they were not hitting at all. They eked out a win at Fenway Thursday night, and they came here and they got 7 runs here Friday night, but lost. They got 9 runs last night, and now 8 runs tonight. That's 24 runs in the 3 games here, so it looks like the slump is over. And for the Orioles, that's 61 runs allowed in the last 8 games, nearly 8 per game. This has just been an average game the last 8 games for the Orioles. 8-2 New York. Last chance for the Birds. Orioles manager Johnny Oates sticking with his young pitcher, and all of a sudden a game that was a 1-run game in the 8th inning is now a 6-run Yankee lead as we go to the last of the 9th inning. 8-2 the score, and of course Johnny Oates earlier on protesting this game, and the umpires went out to see if Tim Leary was doing anything illegal to the ball, and Leary did this as they headed out to the mound. What do you think he put into his mouth?
Well, he did a good imitation of putting something in his mouth, even if he didn't. And Johnny Oates had all the baseballs that were cut in the same spot, and he took them to home plate umpire and showed them to him, and that's why he was trying to get Leary ejected from the ball game.
Now Steve Farr comes on. He's the Yankees closer, 10 saves. Excellent earned run average. He's a veteran. He's from Maryland. And Joe Orsulak leads it off against him. Jeff Tackett on deck. Ball 1. So it's been a bad night for the Orioles all the way around. They're trailing by 8-2. They lost their catcher, their home run leader, Chris Hoyles, will be out for at least 4 weeks. He was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning, suffered a cracked ulnar bone. Steve Farr, born in Cheverly, Maryland, went to American University in Washington, also Charles County Community College in La Plata, Maryland. So he's got a lot of ties to this area. And he says that Jamie Quirk, now a catcher out with the Oakland Athletics, may have been a key to continuing his career, helping turn him around as a pitcher. That's a foul. Orsilac 1 for 3 with a run batted in. Farr got a very big contract to go to the Yankees last year as a closer. Not your typical closer. He's not an overpowering type pitcher.
Or he doesn't have the one, and he doesn't have a trick pitch, so to speak. Fastball, slider.
Gallego got him. And there's one away for the Orioles here in the 9th inning. 8-2, the Yanks ahead. If this game finishes this way, the Orioles will remain 1 game back of the Blue Jays. Milwaukee 3.5 out. The Brewers have really come on. Boston, that game is not yet finished. They're trailing 3-2 in the 8th inning at Texas. The Yankees would pull to within 7 games. And the Yanks will come back here tomorrow night trying to make it 3 out of 4 from the Orioles in the Orioles home ballpark. Ball 1 to Jeff Tackett. And you see Texas still leading the Red Sox 3-2, last of the 8th, down in Arlington. Tackett fouls one off to the right. Well, the Orioles have a veteran catcher at the minor league system, Mark Parent. But the fact that Rick Dempsey's here and that he had the contract he had, you have to imagine he'll be the one activated to replace Hoyles. And Dempsey, a real favorite for many years here in Baltimore. That breaking ball in there for a strike. 1-2 to Jeff Tackett. 1 out in the 9th inning. So we'll see the Yanks again next Sunday, Joe, and I wonder if they'll remain hot between now and then. Just off the outside.
Well, hitting becomes contagious if you start swinging the bat well as a group. It just kind of snowballs a little bit. And Mel Hall is swinging the bat exceptionally well. Mattingly swinging the bat well.
Strike 3 called on the inside. 2 down. Here in the 9th inning. 8-2, the Yanks ahead. Right after the game now. Stay tuned. Coming up perhaps very shortly. Sports Center. Everything that happened today in the world of sports will be highlighted on Sports Center. Tim Hewlett hit by a pitch. Fly to center and single. 1 for 2. Ball 1. So, Joe, your first visit to Camden Yards, and what do you think of this?
Well, very
place?
impressive ballpark.
This should do it. Mattingly takes it himself. Mattingly, who drove in what proved to be the game-winning run with a clutch 7th inning homer. And the Yankees go on to win the ball game 8-2. Mel Hall, 2 homers and 4 batted in.
Well, I think the Orioles are going to have to regroup if they're going to continue to chase the Toronto Blue Jays or stay close. Their pitching staff the last 8 games now has really struggled, so they're going to have to get their pitching staff back together.
They're having some problems here in Baltimore. Next Sunday night, we'll be at Yankee Stadium. Big Frank Thomas and the White Sox take on these Yankees. Roberto Kelly and company. 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Sports Center comes up next. Stay tuned for that. Now, this is John Miller for Joe Morgan from Camden Yards, Baltimore. Thanks for joining us. And now, good night, everyone.